Chapter 477. You shocked Di Wuji. You shocked the officials of the Wuji dynasty. You shocked the Lion King. You shocked Luo Wuqing and Su Yueao. You shocked the Nether Black Tortoise. The system's voice kept ringing in his mind. Hearing the voice, Ning Tian was instantly energized. He was even looking forward to it. Shocking the 10-million-year-old tortoise. He should be able to get a good reward now, right? The system's voice sounded. Reward received. Heavenly God Body, Heavenly Tao Manifestation. The Heavenly God Body can accommodate all the laws of heaven and earth. The strongest Heavenly God Body. Heavenly Tao Manifestation. This, Ning Tian was stunned for a moment. His expression changed slightly. Even he couldn't help but gasp. The reward today, it meant that he would become the most special Heavenly God Body in history. He would be completely different from the other Heavenly God Bodies. It also meant that he could control all the laws of heaven and earth. His Heavenly God Body, it really changed. He had become the one and only Heavenly God Body. Reminder, the Heavenly Tao Manifestation has not been unlocked yet. The host needs to upgrade his Heavenly God Body to the medium level. At this moment, the system's voice rang in his mind. Ning Tian frowned. But don't worry, the system has already sent the pills to the host's mind. You can check it yourself. Hearing that, Ning Tian checked it briefly. Soon, his expression became a little interesting. It seemed today's tortoise was well beaten. Among the pills, there was one that stood out the most. That was the black tortoise's blood essence. Wasn't there a 10-million-year-old tortoise in front of him? It didn't take much effort to get it. Ning Tian's lips curled into a smile. He then got up and looked in the direction of the nether black tortoise. The mushroom cloud of spiritual energy was gradually dissipating. It was time to see how the old tortoise was doing. Husband. Looking at Ning Tian, who got up from his arms, Luo Wuqing was stunned. It's fine, don't worry. Your husband is super fierce. How can this little bit of weakness trouble me, Ning Buxu? Ning Tian laughed, indicating that Luo Wuqing didn't need to worry. He really? Su Yueao licked her red lips and breathed a sigh of relief. Of course. You'll know in the future. Ning Tian smiled and emphasized that word. Then, he stretched his back and looked at the place where the power had erupted. He clicked his tongue and sighed. The seawater had already been evaporated by the power. The sea level of the entire endless sea region had dropped by a lot. A large part of the sea was dyed red by the blood of the nether black tortoise. At this moment, the nether black tortoise did not die. After all, it was an old monster that had lived for thousands of years. Even if it was locked by the heavens and earth lock, it would not die so easily. But it was truly too horrible to look at. One of the blood pythons on the tortoise shell was blinded by the explosion. There was a hole in the tortoise shell, and the flesh and blood inside could be seen clearly. It was simply extremely tragic. He actually didn't finish it off in one move? What a pity. Ning Tian sighed. If the nether black tortoise heard this, he was afraid that even if it was not beaten to death, it would be angered to death. Its black tortoise's defense was almost invincible, but it was beaten to such a state by Ning Tian. It was simply a disgrace. Old bastard, I didn't expect you to still be alive. You're too tough. Ning Tian and the others moved and approached the nether black tortoise. This fellow did not seem to have the intention to attack. It seemed, was it beaten silly by Ning Tian? Hello? Old bastard? Seeing that the nether black tortoise was motionless, Ning Tian frowned slightly. Just as he was about to attack, the nether black tortoise moved. Its attitude had completely changed. Fellow Taoist, I didn't know you had such an identity. It's true that no discord, no concord. Ahahaha. Such an identity? Ning Tian's eyes narrowed. He seemed to have thought of something. Could it be that this old bastard had noticed the power of the heavenly god in him? It was afraid of the heavenly god physique? Ning Tian's guess was correct. The moment its turtle shell was broken, the nether black tortoise understood. The person in front of it definitely had that identity. In this profound sky world, there were people who could break its black tortoise shield. However, only the power of the heavenly god physique could do that. Damn it, why did it provoke the heavenly god physique? If it had known earlier, it would not have dared to provoke him even if it was pretending to be asleep. F***ck, ever since I came to this world, I have known how terrifying the heavenly god physique is. I have been hiding carefully. I did not expect to suffer today. The nether black tortoise sighed heavily in its heart. It could not be blamed. Although it was hiding from the heavenly god physique, it had seen it before. Those fellows looked like they were favored by the heavens. However, the guy in front of it had a handsome face. He was not only inhumane but also shameless. How could it associate such a person with the heavenly god physique? Are you scared, brother Black Tortoise? Ning Tian raised his eyebrows and a playful smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. The power of the heavenly god physique in his body was faintly discernible and quietly floated out. Aha! Fellow Taoist, you can call me Old Tortoise. Call me Brother Black Tortoise. I can't accept it. The nether black tortoise coughed dryly and coughed up blood. Didn't you keep saying that you are a black tortoise? Ning Tian looked at it with a smile. Sorry, from now on I will change my name. I am called Nether Tortoise. It has a domineering aura, the nether black tortoise said weakly. It was now seriously injured and had to admit defeat. Fellow Taoist Ning actually defeated this sea beast. In the distance, Di Wuji's expression was very interesting. Moreover, fellow Taoist Ning seemed to have an identity that made the nether black tortoise very wary. The black tortoise, that was a divine beast. Not only did fellow Taoist Ning's two wives have powerful backgrounds, but he also has a powerful background? Hiss! Di Wuji sucked in a breath of cold air. Ning Tian, on the other hand, picked up Scarlet Cloud's sword and said, I'm sorry, but I still have to continue with the last hit. This. Fellow Taoist, if you have something to say, the nether black tortoise immediately panicked. However, before it could finish speaking, it saw Ning Tian flash over. The might of a heavenly god instantly surged, and the Scarlet Cloud sword in his hand burned with extreme flames. Since the ancestral master said that he was going to attack, then he had to do it. Who cares what you are? I'll kill you first to prevent future troubles. Sword Dao, divine might of the sword, Ning Tian murmured. The fiery sword intent slashed towards the nether black tortoise's head. At this moment, the sword intent expanded countless times, reaching tens of thousands of feet. It's over, it's over. Seeing this scene, the nether black tortoise was in despair. Could it be that after living for tens of millions of years, it was finally coming to an end? Clang! The sword slashed down, but it made a sound as if it was hitting steel. No. It was as if he had struck steel. Ning Tian frowned and the Scarlet Cloud sword danced in his hand. In front of him was the heaven and earth lock that locked the nether black tortoise. Seeing this, he put away his sword and did not continue to slash. Not to mention whether he could break the heaven and earth lock. If he did, wouldn't it release the nether black tortoise and help it recover its strength? He was not that stupid. The author's words. I'm so late today. I'm going to sleep. I've written 1,000,000 words. When I started the book, I really didn't expect to write 1,000,000 words. I also didn't expect that there would be so many readers. Thank you for your continued support. Chapter 478. At that moment, the heavy chain actually locked the nether black tortoise's tortoise head and helped it dodge Ning Tian's final attack. Although the heaven and earth lock imprisoned it. But it also saved it at this moment. Even the nether black tortoise was stunned. It never expected that the heaven and earth lock that had trapped it for thousands of years would save its life. It was a little surprised. Could it be those guys don't want me to die? What a headache. Ning Tian rubbed his head helplessly. How am I going to drink tortoise soup? How am I going to add a few more hours? Hey, old tortoise, stick your head out and let me chop it off. The nether black tortoise was stunned. 3 question marks appeared on its head. Stick my head out and let you chop it off? Do you think I'm stupid? However, when it looked at Ning Tian, it happened to see Ning Tian looking at it as if he was looking at an idiot. F***ck. He really thinks I'm stupid. As long as I hide in the heaven and earth lock, this heavenly god constitution can't do anything to me. The nether black tortoise snorted in its heart. Obviously, it had made up its mind. If the enemy doesn't move, I won't move. Sigh. You have to force me to make a move. I'm so kind. I don't want to kill. Looking at the nether black tortoise's arrogant look, Ning Tian shook his head and sighed. The corner of his mouth lifted into a kind smile. Then, a black light flashed in his eyes and he raised his hand at the nether black tortoise. Death? He muttered softly. Then, the power of law surged. Somewhere on the nether black tortoise's body, a black light flashed. Then, its skin began to necrotize and the flesh inside began to turn black. Obviously, it had lost its vitality. Even with the nether black tortoise's recovery ability, it was useless. Death. Law of death. The nether black tortoise widened its eyes. The several meters of skin on its body had completely necrotized. It couldn't feel anything as if it didn't belong to it. The death aura can only reach a few meters. It seems I'll need 1.5 years to kill you. Looking at the damage caused by the law of death, Ning Tian frowned slightly. He then continued to use the death aura. Although the damage range was small, it was extremely insulting and powerful. I'll slowly torture you to death. Great Master! I was wrong. Little Tortoise knows it was wrong. At this moment, the nether black tortoise was silent for a long time. Then, tears flowed down its old face. Other people were less afraid of death the longer they lived. After all, they had lived enough. However, it was different. It was the nether black tortoise. One of the most living creatures in the world. 10 million years was still very young for it. As soon as it was born, it was F***king trapped here. It didn't even have the chance to taste a female tortoise. If it died just like that, wouldn't it be too sullen? Furthermore, it was an extremely humiliating way to die. Little Turtle, hearing this, the faces of the few people present darkened. This bastard was really shameless. He had lived for millions of years and still called himself Little Tortoise. The 3 girls. Haha, you're as shameless as your husband. Sui Weiyao giggled. Ning Tian slowly typed a question mark. When had he ever been shameless? The ancestor wasn't shameless. It seemed that this little wife needed to be taught a lesson again. Compared to Little Tortoise, I still prefer the old tortoise. Ning Tian's mouth raised into a playful smile. Yes, the nether black tortoise finally bowed its head to the evil forces. Fellow Taoist Ning, there's no need to play with it. You can't kill it. Even I can't kill it at my peak. At this moment, the death bell in Bai Lu's arms projected a figure. Then, the voice of Tao God reincarnation sounded. F***ck, old Tao, you still dare to come out? Seeing the figure projected from the death bell, Ning Tian immediately rolled his eyes. If it wasn't for the fact that this old tortoise was only a few thousand meters long, would he be in such a sorry state? Cough. Tao God reincarnation coughed dryly and explained, the last time I saw it, it was indeed only a few thousand meters long. That should be a few million years ago, a few million years. Not far away, the expressions of Di Wuji and the others changed. Looking at the old man who suddenly appeared, their expressions turned serious. He kept talking about 1,000,000 years and, this god. He was probably also an almighty figure. How did the ancestor know so many experts? Di Wuji was very puzzled. Old Tao, let me tell you. If you don't compensate me with something good, I won't let this matter rest. Ning Tian chattered endlessly. He would never let go of any opportunity to cheat others. Tao God Reincarnation was silent. He smiled bitterly and shook his head. He seemed to be able to see fellow Taoist Ning emptying his Tao God mausoleum. He immediately felt a pang of pain. So, fellow Taoist Ning, you should let this nether black tortoise go. It can't die. At least, it can't die now. Even if the Almighty of the Divine Realm comes, they can't kill it. It's already a miracle that fellow Taoist Ning can do this. Tao God Reincarnation said slowly. He looked at Ning Tian with a trace of emotion in his eyes. Those guys in the Divine Realm probably didn't expect that the nether black tortoise would be beaten up by someone in the 9 regions. After all, the nether black tortoise's strength wasn't weak. Woo-woo. Hearing Tao God Reincarnation's words, the nether black tortoise was moved to tears. It wasn't moved because it could live, but because someone finally called its name correctly. It wasn't easy. Let it go. This won't do. I still want to eat the turtle whip. Ning Tian rejected him without even thinking about it. Hearing this, the nether black tortoise felt a chill and shivered. Tao God Reincarnation also shook his head helplessly. Fellow Taoist Ning, the nether black tortoise is Een. Even if you eat it, not only will it not nourish you, it will even speed up. For example, stop. Before Tao God Reincarnation could finish his words, he was interrupted by Ning Tian. He glared at the nether black tortoise fiercely. This guy's turtle whip was poisonous. Okay. Then I will need your 10,000-year-old blood essence. It wasn't Ning Tian's style to let this old bastard go without reaping any benefits. Oh, that's right. I also need a piece of your tortoiseshell, a scale of your scarlet python, and, next. Ning Tian said a lot. Anyway, he didn't let go of anything that could be used on the nether black tortoise. When the nether black tortoise heard this, the corner of its mouth twitched. So this guy is going to remove everything from me? But in order to live, it could only do as he was told. Although Ning Tian couldn't kill it, what if he was bored and slowly tortured it to death? Wouldn't that be too humiliating? I have given you everything. Can you let me go now? The nether black tortoise trembled. Looking at the smiling Ning Tian in front of it, it suddenly felt terrified. It seemed to have understood something. When this heaven god body smiled, it was definitely not a good thing. Let you go? Of course, but before you go, I will give you a stamp. Ning Tian's lips curved into a smile. A stamp? Chapter 479. The nether black tortoise was stunned and at a loss. This move is called 8-burying tortoise. The power in Ning Tian's hand surged. He raised his hand slightly and a sun and moon appeared. This was the power of broken burial dusk. Hearing this, the corner of Tao God Reincarnation's mouth twitched. His old face turned black and a few black lines appeared on his forehead. Please, can you not change the name of the move? But soon, the gloominess in his heart disappeared. That was because even though Ning Tian had used broken burial dusk, upon closer inspection, it was a different technique. It was a new technique that he had modified based on his understanding of broken burial dusk. This works too. Tao God Reincarnation frowned and fell into silence. Is the comprehension ability of the heavenly god body really so terrifying? Or is Taoist Ning the only one who has it? Boom. At the same time, the energy in Ning Tian's hand landed heavily on the nether black tortoise. Although the special effect was sufficient, it didn't seem to cause any damage. After the spiritual energy dissipated, the word heaven appeared on the tortoise shell. He clapped his hands with a smile on his face. In this way, I can be considered as half of your master. The nether black tortoise's expression changed slightly. It resisted in its heart. However, the word heaven on the tortoise shell was like a brand that was firmly branded on its body. Moreover, once it had the thought of resisting, there would be a strange energy that sealed its thoughts. This was the move that Ning Tian passed down by using broken burial dusk. Broken burial dusk had a sealing effect. He just guided the sealing effect to the mind. Once the nether black tortoise had any thoughts against him, the seal would seal those thoughts. This made the nether black tortoise unable to have any hostility towards him. This was also a backup plan that Ning Tian left behind. What if this old tortoise escaped from the heaven and earth lock and came to seek revenge? With Broken Burial King 8 branded, there was no need to worry about this. Alright, let's go back. Ning Tian waved his hand casually and the storage ring in his hand was filled again. He had cheated the netherworld black tortoise of many good things. Now, it was time to cheat the reincarnation Tao God. Accompanied by the sound of heavy chains being dragged, the nether black tortoise dived into the deep sea. Its huge body had already disappeared, and the entire endless sea region seemed to have returned to peace. However, the surface of the sea was still a mess. Blood dyed the surface of the sea red. Some serene corpses of sea beasts and sea demons floated on the surface of the sea. Alright, old man Dao, shouldn't you tell me more about this old bastard? Ning Tian looked at Tao God Reincarnation and said calmly, Fellow Taoist, follow me back to the Tao God Mausoleum. Then we can talk about it in detail. Reincarnation Tao God did not say much and only shook his head. Alright. Ning Tian nodded slightly. Then, he looked at Di Wuji and the rest who were not far away. His tone was cold as he warned, Old Emperor, don't speak carelessly about what happened here, lest you get into trouble. Yes, Di Wuji and the rest trembled. Then, Ning Tian kept the void ship and brought Sha Tian, who had drunk a stomach full of seawater, and Luo Wuqing and the other 2 girls towards the Tao God Mausoleum. Emperor, what exactly happened? Who exactly is the ancestral master? The officials of the Wuji divine dynasty were all dumbfounded. Even now they were still a little confused. I don't know. In short, that's an existence we can't provoke. Di Wuji shook his head. In such a situation, he was actually a little pale and powerless. Let's go back to the divine dynasty. If anyone dares to speak carelessly about what happened today, their 9 generations will be implicated. Yes, the officials all answered in trembling voices. Quiet Ocean Abyss, Tao God Mausoleum. With Old Man Dao's permission, even Luo Wuqing and Su Yueyao could enter the mausoleum. However, he was a little worried when he looked at the little lion that was vomiting seawater all over the ground. Speak, Old Man Dao. What is the background of the nether black tortoise? Who tied it with the lock of heaven and earth? Ning Tian looked at Tao God Reincarnation. I can't say more. Tao God Reincarnation shook his head slightly. He looked at Ning Tian and said solemnly, Those almighties hid the nether black tortoise in the endless sea region to let it stabilize the entire firmament territory. Without it, the entire firmament territory might collapse. Hearing this, not only did Ning Tian's face change slightly, but even Luo Wuqing and Su Yueyao frowned. Unexpectedly, the nether black tortoise was actually so useful. Alright. Ning Tian spread out his hands. Although he had doubts, he didn't ask too much. Anyway, it was useless to ask. He smiled, which immediately made Tao God Reincarnation feel uneasy. Now, isn't it time to compensate me? Compensate? What compensation? Tao God Reincarnation played dumb. Sha Tian, dismantle it. Seeing Tao God Reincarnation, Ning Tian didn't waste any time. He directly asked Sha Tian, who had just spat out seawater, to work. He wanted to show Tao God Reincarnation the power of dismantling. Roar! Flame-sealing Lion King widened his eyes. Happiness came so suddenly? Wait, Taoist Ning, I still have a sword technique here. Tao God Reincarnation quickly said. He was instantly terrified. He couldn't let Ning Tian dismantle it. That's right. The corners of Ning Tian's mouth curled up into a smile. While Ning Tian was tricking Tao God Reincarnation, Bai Lu was also drawing circles and cursing Taoist Ning. Phew, not bad. Ning Tian stretched her back and looked around. She realized that the spirit qi in this place was very dense. It was very suitable for cultivation. Old man Dao, it shouldn't be a problem for me to cultivate here for a few months, right? This, Dao God Reincarnation frowned and was about to refuse. If he let this bandit cultivate in seclusion here, wouldn't all the spiritual energy be taken by him? Ahaha, Dao God, you are really a good person. Then I will cultivate in seclusion here for a while. But before Dao God Reincarnation could refuse, Ning Tian said with a smile. He was shameless to the extreme. He had his eyes on the rich spiritual energy here for a long time. He would refine pills here, break through the heavenly God physique, and comprehend the heavenly Tao. What a perfect plan! Tao God Reincarnation. He sighed helplessly. He couldn't do anything to Ning Tian. Taoist Ning was really shameless. If this kid became a god, wouldn't his title be the Shameless God? Hearing Ning Tian's words, Luo Wuqing and Su Yueyao looked over and waited for his answer. Husband, you want to cultivate in seclusion here? Yes. Ning Tian nodded slightly and looked at the two women with a smile. You two go back to the heavenly spirit region first. Counting the time, the ancient road to godhood is about to open. Let's get ready. When I finish my seclusion, I will return to the heavenly spirit region to find you. The ancient road to godhood, on the side, Tao God Reincarnation's eyes flashed. Okay. Then husband, we will wait for your return in the heavenly spirit region. Hearing Ning Tian's words, the two women felt that it was reasonable. After telling Ning Tian some things, they left the Tao God Mausoleum. Before leaving, they didn't forget to bring the little lion to prevent it from disturbing Ning Tian's seclusion. Chapter 480. Only Ning Tian, Bai Lu, and Reincarnation Tao God were left in the Tao God Mausoleum. Old Tao, why don't you tell me more about the ancient road to becoming a god? Ning Tian looked at Reincarnation Tao God with a smile. The ancient road to becoming a god was about to open. Since there was an expert from the god realm here, he could get some experience first. Ancient road to becoming a god? However, Reincarnation Tao God sneered. It's nothing more than some tricks from the god realm. What's there to talk about? It was obvious that he disdained the ancient road to becoming a god. Can I not enter the ancient road to becoming a god realm? Ning Tian asked. No. Reincarnation Tao God spread his hands. Then what are you talking about? Ning Tian rolled his eyes at Reincarnation Tao God, then looked at Bai Lu and said, Miss Bai Lu, why don't you draw circles to curse this old man? This old man is very bad. Bai Lu pouted and hugged the death bell. No. Asterisk 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 caret asterisk, Ning Tian. All right? I can't win against you father and daughter. Ning Tian spread his hands. He didn't care about Bai Lu's explanation that they weren't father and daughter. He took out an alchemy furnace that he got from Di Wuji and started to refine the elixir for breaking through the heavenly god body. The only key to breaking through the heavenly god body was the black tortoise blood essence. He had surprisingly collected the rest of the materials. Don't ask why. He had tricked so many people, and there were even some who were muddle-headed. Looking at Ning Tian, who had started to refine the elixir, Reincarnation Tao God and Bai Lu floated and watched silently. A few hours later, a fragrant elixir landed in Ning Tian's hand. Phew! I can break through now. Ning Tian let out a long breath and swallowed the elixir. He activated the heavenly god record and started to mobilize the spirit energy in his body to envelop him. His seclusion began. Soon, under Reincarnation Tao God's gloomy expression, the spirit energy in the entire mausoleum surged toward Ning Tian. In the blink of an eye, Ning Tian had been in seclusion for 3 months. Within 3 months, the phenomenon on the ancient road to godhood was becoming more and more obvious. Many experts of the 9 regions were already prepared. They also understood that the opening of the ancient road to godhood was in the celestial spirit domain. Originally, Luo Wuqing was a little worried that the unusual movements on the ancient road to godhood would attract many experts to cast covetous eyes on the heavenly spirit region. However, the strange thing was that these experts were all well-behaved, as if they were still looking for someone. This made the Tianma cult members feel a little strange. And at this moment, in the Tao God Mausoleum, the rich spiritual energy shrouded Ning Tian in all aspects, and this situation had already persisted for 3 months. Senior Tao God, how much longer does fellow Taoist Ning need? I don't know, maybe soon? You've said this 30 times already, Ovo. On the side, Bai Lu was floating with the death bell in her arms. Tao God Reincarnation was also watching. There was some dust on their bodies, and even some cobwebs. Since Ning Tian had been in seclusion for 3 months, the two of them had maintained this posture, not moving at all. Boom! At this moment, a burst of aura suddenly appeared. Fellow Taoist Ning, it's about to end. Seeing this scene, Bai Lu immediately became spirited. She shook off the dust on her head, and her beautiful eyes fell on Ning Tian. This kid has absorbed 2/3 of the spiritual energy in my mausoleum. It's finally over. Tao God Reincarnation looked pained. When he saw that Ning Tian was done, he heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, there was at least 1/3 left for him. This kid is finally back to being a human, Tao God Reincarnation sighed. But just as he finished speaking, boom! A suction force erupted from Ning Tian's body, instantly absorbing the remaining 1/3 of the spiritual energy. Tao God Reincarnation, F***ck pretend I didn't say anything. Bai Lu said, fellow Taoist Ning isn't a human anymore. *#. At this moment, the spiritual energy around Ning Tian was surging. His aura kept rising and the system's voice kept ringing in his mind. Congratulations to the host for breaking through to the Heaven God body stage. Congratulations to the host for comprehending the Heaven Tao manifestation. Host's strength has broken through to the 9-star God Emperor realm. Phew! Ning Tian heaved a sigh of relief and slowly opened his eyes. There was a flash of excitement in his eyes. After 3 months of seclusion, he finally broke through to the 9-star God Emperor realm. As long as he passed the Emperor Tribulation, he would be a great emperor. And the Emperor Tribulation wasn't like a breakthrough. It needed time. If you were strong enough and wouldn't be killed by the Emperor Tribulation, it wouldn't matter even if you went through 9 tribulations in one go. Of course, no one in the world dared to go through 9 tribulations in one go. This was because the Emperor Tribulation was extremely terrifying. Going through 9 tribulations in one go was simply courting death. This feels great. It feels different to break through in someone else's home. Ning Tian stretched and looked satisfied. He felt that he had endless energy in his body. After 3 months of seclusion, it could be said that he had a comprehensive breakthrough. It wasn't just his strength but also his physique. More importantly, he had even mastered the law of heaven and earth. Hearing this, Reincarnation Tao God's mouth trembled. The more he looked at this guy, the more he wanted to beat him up. He looked at Ning Tian and said angrily, "You're done with the breakthrough. Should we leave?" Let's go. There's nothing good left anyway." Ning Tian nodded. He had already scammed all that he could, and there was nothing left to scam. Thus, it was not good to stay here any longer. Reincarnation Tao God was speechless. "You've taken all the good things and you still have the nerve to say that?" He rolled his eyes at Ning Tian. "Oh right, take Bai Lu away." Ning Tian raised his eyebrows. He thought Bai Lu would stay here and wait for Reincarnation Tao God to complete his reincarnation before returning to the divine realm with him. Bai Lu needs to gain experience. It will be helpful for her to walk the ancient road to godhood. Reincarnation Tao God said indifferently. Also, Bai Lu is now an ownerless object. If you are willing, you can leave your mark on her and let her recognize you as her master. Leave my mark. Ning Tian had a strange expression. Why did this old man's words make people think the wrong way? Master recognition, Ning Tian murmured and glanced at Bai Lu. He raised his finger. Miss Bai Lu, do you drink blood to recognize me as your master? No, Bai Lu was speechless. She hugged the death bell and glanced at Ning Tian. Taoist Ning, you don't need to recognize me as your master. When you left the Death Mountain, the death bell had already recognized you as its master. This was what Bai Lu had promised Ning Tian. She naturally wouldn't go back on her words. I see. It actually has the ability to recognize you as its master. Ning Tian nodded slightly. He then turned around and left with Bai Lu. Old Taoist, let's go. The next time we meet, remember to prepare more gift. Divine artifacts, divine cultivation techniques, and so on. After saying that, the two stepped into the void and disappeared. This guy, reincarnation Tao God, smiled bitterly and shook his head. A glimmer of light flashed across his eyes as he murmured, I'm looking forward to meeting you in the divine realm. Author's words. Empty, numb, and confused. Next, I'll deal with some foreshadowing and step onto the ancient road to godhood. Then. Book Group 1, 897-996-966 2000 people. There are almost no vacancies. First come, first serve. Book Group 2, 115-087-4306 with lots of vacancies. Chapter 481. In the Tao God Mausoleum. The corner of Tao God Reincarnation's mouth twitched as he sighed helplessly. If he hadn't used his power to protect the Tao God Mausoleum, the brat's breakthrough aura would have torn down his mausoleum completely. Huff, this brat must be here to delay my reincarnation. Tao God Reincarnation sighed deeply and waved his hand. The stone statue in the mausoleum shone with a faint light, and the spiritual energy gradually recovered. He turned into a soul energy and began to absorb it. Wait for my reincarnation to end. I will revive the Jian family. With a murmur, the power of reincarnation enveloped the surroundings. After coming out of the Tao God Mausoleum, Bai Lu hugged the death bell and looked deeply at the stone door. What is it? You can't bear to part with old man Tao? Ning Tian smiled at Bai Lu. Bai Lu shook his head slightly. Holding the death bell in his arms, he looked at Ning Tian seriously. It's not that I can't bear to part with it, but I'm a little emotional. Perhaps if I follow fellow Taoist Ning, I will also live a second life. If Bai Lu's first life was with Tao God Reincarnation, then following Ning Tian would be his second life. Is that so? The corner of Ning Tian's mouth raised into a smile. He looked at Bai Lu meaningfully and said seriously, Then, Miss Bai Lu, don't worry. If you follow me, then your life is destined to be exciting. Ovo Bai Lu nodded heavily and hugged the death bell. After all, I can play with the Empress and Sister Sacred Master in the future. As for what fellow Taoist Ning is, I don't know. Ning Tian was speechless. I'm the master of the death bell after all. Why don't you call me Master or Ning Tian-sama? Ning Tian smirked. How about transforming Bai Lu into a maid? What? Bai Lu was stunned. What did fellow Taoist Ning say? Haha, I'm here. Ning Tian laughed. Bai Lu? Haha, nothing much. Let's go back to the heavenly spirit realm. Ning Tian laughed loudly. Then, he rushed out of the sea with Bai Lu. He summoned the void ship and prepared to return to the heavenly spirit region. Before leaving the boundless sea domain, he had also used the death law. A pitiful 9-star god emperor realm sea beast had died peacefully with a snap of his fingers. With the current law of death, even a 9-star god emperor realm expert could be killed instantly. It was simply terrifying. When they left the endless sea domain, Diwuji and the others seemed to have been waiting for them. Ancestral Master, please wait. Diwuji shouted as he looked at the void ship that was about to enter the void. His voice seemed to have an effect. The void ship stopped and a figure appeared in front of him. Old Emperor, are you looking for me? Ning Tian looked at Di Wuji with a slight frown. However, he soon realized that something was wrong. All the buildings in the capital of the everlasting divine dynasty seemed to have been renovated. There were even some remnants of the buildings left at the side. The capital of the divine dynasty seemed to have gone through a great battle. Your capital of the divine dynasty was blown up by someone? Ning Tian had a strange look on his face. This, Di Wuji sighed heavily. The officials behind him also looked helpless. He sighed and said, "For the past 3 months, Long Jiang seems to have gone crazy. He has been performing some strange martial art." When the word demolished appeared in the sky, the buildings in the capital of the divine dynasty would be destroyed. "We can't stop him." Behind him, the group of officials also sighed deeply. It was obvious that they had also been greatly affected and were somewhat traumatized. "Is that so?" Hearing this, Ning Tian smiled knowingly. He understood a lot. The Sealing Flame Lion King must have shown Long Jiang the demolish art. Otherwise, the word demolish would not have appeared. Yes, Di Wuji looked bitter. "Ancestral Master, do you know why?" "I don't. After all, I have never had anything to do with demolishing houses." Ning Tian shook his head and changed the topic. "So, you stopped me just to tell me this?" "No, it's about the ancient road to godhood." Di Wuji quickly shook his head and looked at Ning Tian seriously. "By the way, Ancestral Master, do you know that the ancient road to godhood has appeared? Moreover, the location of the ancient road to godhood has appeared. It is in the celestial spirit region where your ancestral home is." "Oh, it has appeared? I have been in seclusion for the past few months, so I don't know." Ning Tian raised his eyebrows. He was a little surprised that the ancient road to godhood had appeared. He was slightly relieved. Fortunately, he had come out of seclusion in time. Otherwise, if he had been in seclusion for too long and missed the ancient road to godhood, it would be a little troublesome. The ancient road to godhood is full of dangers and changes. The ancient road is different every time. Therefore, I think that the strength of one person is always limited. Why don't we bind our strength together? In this way, I believe that we will definitely be able to overcome all obstacles. Di Wuji's face was serious as he spoke of great principles. "I understand." Ning Tian nodded and looked at Di Wuji. "So, you are saying so much because you want to ride on my coattails?" Ahem. After being exposed by Ning Tian, Di Wuji coughed dryly and blushed. "I am just using cooperation." "If that is the case, let's talk about it when the time comes." Ning Tian was not in a hurry to agree. If the situation was good enough, he did not need Di Wuji at all. But if the situation was bad, it would be another story. He waved his hand and disappeared. Once again, he stepped into the void ship. The void ship quickly turned into a shooting star and disappeared into the void, leaving Di Wuji standing there in a daze. In the distant celestial spirit region, in the sky, a thick and tightly shut door could be vaguely seen. Clouds and mist lingered around it. Many cultivators wanted to get close, but before they could even get close, they were crushed into minced meat by the terrifying pressure. That was the door to the ancient road to godhood. When they opened it, the ancient road to godhood would be opened. Somewhere in the sky, the void opened and a huge void ship rushed out of the void. In an instant, a violent gust of wind whistled past. The entire celestial spirit region had become a little different because of the appearance of the ancient road to godhood. The spirit chi was rich, and many powerful cultivators had appeared. Huff! Ning Tian stood on the deck. The wind blowing in his face made his clothes flutter. The wind is really strong. The air in the celestial spirit region is still fresh. Don't you think so, Bai Lu? Ah! Fellow Taoist Ning, what did you say? The wind is too strong. I didn't hear you clearly, asterisk. Bai Lu hugged the death bell tightly and swayed in the wind. Forget it. It's fine, you silly girl. Ning Tian rolled his eyes at Bai Lu. Then, He stretched and smiled. Huff, it's about time. Let's get ready to return to the Tianma cult. Bai Lu, oh, there are more updates. Chapter 482. Tianma cult. Atop a boulder, a lion cub was swinging its legs in boredom, instructing a group of disciples to cultivate. Life as a lion was meaningless to it. Roar, it let out a low growl. If the ancestral master was here, he would definitely bring it around to tear down houses. Roar, it was the 90th day of missing the ancestral master. Boom. Rumble. At this moment, heaven and earth shook. The Lion King got up from the boulder and looked up at the sky with a group of Tianma cult disciples. A huge battleship emerged. Roar! That man is finally back. The Lion King's eyes widened. Then, it looked at the group of disciples and roared at them, telling them to continue cultivating. Then, it quickly ran toward the demonic palace. The group of disciples was left puzzled. What did Lord Shatian say? I don't know. Anyway, I only know that the ancestral master is back. The legendary ancestral master of the Tianma cult and even the Sky Spirit realm is back. Those foreign powerhouses won't dare to act recklessly, right? Looking at the void ship in the sky, the group of Tianma cult disciples was filled with excitement. In the past 3 months, many powerhouses from the 9 regions had come to the Sky Spirit realm. There were even more than before. Last time, it was just some small fries who came to investigate. This time, it was different. They were genuine powerhouses. The ancestral master is back. He will definitely be able to subdue these powerhouses. The disciples were excited and looked forward to it. Inside the demonic palace, Luo Wuqing and Sui Weiyao were commanding all the powerhouses of the Sky Spirit realm. Both of them were in the demigod realm. The powerhouses of the Sky Spirit realm had long been convinced by the 2 women. Everyone, if any foreign powerhouses attack, don't hesitate to kill them. In the palace, Luo Wuqing wore a long white and blue dress that outlined her slim figure. Coupled with her cold aura, she appeared even more lofty. Sui Weiyao wore a purple gauze dress. Although she wasn't cold, everyone knew that she wasn't weak at all. Kill them directly? The King of God Nation frowned and hesitated. Isn't this a little too arrogant? On the side, many experts of the Heavenly Spirit region nodded in agreement. Wouldn't this make them the target of public criticism? Ha! Arrogant? Sui Weiyao giggled like a blooming flower. Her beautiful eyes moved slightly. I think we have the right to be arrogant. Don't tell me we should be afraid of some cats and dogs prancing around in front of us? Really? King of Scandinavia? The divine nation's sovereign's expression froze. He quickly shook his head and said, No. Sacred Lord, you misunderstood me. I'm afraid that our actions will become an excuse for those foreign experts to attack us. Excuse? Where's the excuse? If they wanted to make a move, they wouldn't even need an excuse. Luo Wuqing shook his head slightly and said indifferently, The strong are respected. Whoever has the biggest fist has the right to speak. Your diplomatic means of regulating Scandinavia are now useless. If they want to kill us, we'll gladly oblige. They're just some weaklings. Luo Wuqing sneered. Her beautiful eyes were full of coldness. She wasn't afraid of mere experts from the 9 regions. Yes, Empress. Hearing this, the Supreme Elder and the Divine Nation's sovereign were shocked. She was indeed the Empress. She was indeed domineering. By the way, at this time, the Supreme Elder seemed to have thought of something. He looked at Luo Wuqing and Sui Weiyao and said, Is the founder still in seclusion? Now that the portal to the ancient road to godhood has appeared. If the founder is still in seclusion and misses the ancient road to godhood. Hearing this, the surrounding experts frowned. It doesn't matter. Luo Wuqing wasn't worried. She waved her hand and said indifferently, My husband's cultivation is more important. He can't be disturbed. If he misses the ancient road to godhood, then so be it. Yueao and I won't go to the ancient road to godhood. She understood that Ning Tian was now in the transition period of his heavenly god body. He couldn't be disturbed. Otherwise, she wouldn't have taken Sha Tian away. Hee, that's right. Su Yueao also nodded with a smile. Hearing this, the group of experts in the main hall felt sour. Just becoming a god. Although it was only 4 words, it represented a lot of things. In the Tianxian continent, almost all cultivators were destined from the moment they were born. That was to become a god. Only by stepping into the god realm could one's life be extended indefinitely. Becoming a god was their ultimate goal. Luo Wuqing and Su Yueao were already in the demigod realm. As long as they obtained the guide to godhood, they could become gods on the spot. It could be said that the two of them had stepped onto the ancient road to godhood. That meant they had a high chance of becoming a god. And now, if Ning Tian missed the ancient road to godhood, they were willing to give it up for him. One should know that once the ancient road to godhood appeared, the next time it appeared was unknown. Some cultivators might miss it forever if they missed it. Hiss, the Supreme Elder and the others looked solemn. They didn't expect the Empress and Sacred Lord to have such deep feelings for the founder. Their feelings were stronger than gold. Roar, roar. At this moment, outside the main hall, a small lion ran in and roared at Luo Wuqing. Then, it took out a small wooden tablet and wrote the word lion on it. My husband is back? Hearing this, Luo Wuqing and Su Yueao's eyes lit up. They looked at each other and disappeared in an instant, heading out of the main hall. Seeing this scene, the group of experts in the main hall shook their heads helplessly. Only that man could make the Empress and Sacred Lord so emotional. Come, let's follow them. Outside the main hall, a huge battleship crushed a building, causing it to be a mess. On the deck, Ning Tian looked at Bai Lu helplessly and complained, Bai Lu, your piloting skills are not as good as Sha Tian's. This is the result of landing. That's right. Just now, he wanted Bai Lu to try to control the void ship. However, he didn't expect this girl to have such a poor sense of direction. Bai Lu was speechless. She got away with being cute? Woo, what's this? Bai Lu got up from the ruins, but found a small book in the ruins beside her. She had just picked it up when her face turned red. Ahaha! This is mine. The Supreme Elder's figure flashed, and he hurriedly took the small book from Bai Lu's hand. His old face turned red and he coughed dryly. F***ck. My house is gone as soon as the founder is back. Fortunately, the Imperial Maiden painting is still here. Phew, I'm glad. Husband, Luo Wuqing and Su Yueao walked over and looked at Ning Tian. Their eyes shone with surprise. You're done with your seclusion? Did you come out early? Second update, first update. Chapter 483. No, I'm completely out of seclusion. Ning Tian chuckled. His aura circulated slightly, revealing a trace of mysterious power. Our ancestral master has become stronger again. Seeing Ning Tian and feeling that formless pressure, the Supreme Elder and the others were shocked. Their eyes were filled with astonishment. They felt that it was a little strange. Wasn't their patriarch already at the demigod realm? Why do they feel that our ancestral master has become stronger every time they see him? Could it be our ancestral master's cultivation can be superimposed? At this moment, the Supreme Elder and the others were shocked. As expected of our ancestral master, awesome. How can he be like this? You shocked the Supreme Elder. You shocked the Lord of the Divine Nation. You shocked. Ning Tian, who was talking and laughing with the two women, suddenly heard the system's voice in his mind. He couldn't help but frown. What the hell are these guys thinking? Reward. Kindness aura. After others cultivate it, they will feel a sense of closeness to the host and will not be hostile. Kindness aura? Ning Tian raised his eyebrows, and his expression was a little strange. How can I let others cultivate this thing? You want this ancestral master to trick people again? Honey, have there been any movements from those experts from other regions recently? Ning Tian put away the kindness aura and then looked at Luo Wuqing and asked. On the way back to the Tianma cult with Bai Lu, they also saw many experts from other regions. There are movements. They seem to be looking for someone. Luo Wuqing thought for a moment and said, Looking for someone? Ning Tian frowned slightly. These foreign experts were either on the way to find something or someone. It was really strange. Did you find out who they are looking for? Ning Tian asked. No. Luo Wuqing shook his head. However, some experts from other regions went to the Ill-Wind mountain range. They should be going for divine punishment. Sui Weiyao said, but we didn't stop them. After all, divine punishment has been taken away. Divine punishment, looking for someone, strange. Ning Tian frowned. At this moment, there was a loud rumble in the sky. Then, warships from the outer domain appeared in the sky. Powerful auras appeared in the sky, startling every disciple of the Tianma cult to look up. Foreign experts? Seeing this scene, the Supreme Elder and the others instantly became serious. Spiritual chi flowed out, and they were ready to fight at any time. Hubby, they are the ones who went to the Ill-Wind mountain range. Sui Weiyao approached Ning Tian and whispered in his ear. According to her intelligence, the strange man made of gravel was among those who went to the Chill Wind mountain range to search for the power of heavenly punishment. At this moment, the strange man was in the battleship above. Could it be that they discovered that there was no heavenly punishment, and even traced it back to the Tianma cult? Ning Tian frowned slightly. Were these experts from other regions so smart? If they dare to act recklessly, then just kill them. Luo Wuqing's tone was indifferent and emotionless. Okay, Ning Tian nodded slightly. Spiritual chi flowed out of his body quietly. Is this the overlord of the heavenly spirit realm, the Tianma cult? There were at least a few hundred battleships in the sky. Experts from several regions had gathered together. At this moment, the human figure, whose body was made of gravel, was looking at the crowd below with an indifferent expression. What else? Ning Tian's lips curled into a smile as he looked at the group of experts calmly. He did not show any signs of fear. Oh. Sha Qiu of the Sand God clan raised his eyebrows and said indifferently, Do you know Ning Buxu? Ning Buxu? Hearing this, the experts of the Tianma cult were stunned. They looked at the indifferent Ning Tian with strange expressions. Strange. Ning Buxu seemed to be the alias of their patriarch in the firmament territory. These foreign experts were here to find their patriarch? Why are you looking for Ning Buxu? Ning Tian acted as if he did not know who Ning Buxu was. Behind him, Luo Wuqing, Sui Weiyao, and Bai Lu had already activated their demigod auras. If they found out that they wanted to kill their patriarch, they would attack immediately. Of course we are looking for Ning Buxu. As for you, you don't deserve to know. Sha Qiu sneered and looked arrogant. Really? The smile on Ning Tian's face became more and more benevolent. He looked at the group with a smile and said, That's unfortunate. I am the Ning Buxu you're looking for. As soon as he finished speaking, an enormous aura emerged from his body. The three women behind him also released their demigod auras. The Supreme Elder and the other experts were also eyeing him covetously. At this moment, a great battle seemed to be about to break out. However, you are Ning Buxu? Sha Qiu was stunned for a moment. The group of experts behind him also looked at Ning Tian, sizing him up very seriously. This person looks quite handsome. According to Taoist nihility god, Ning Buxu is a very handsome and kind person. While this young man is handsome, he always has a smile on his face. He looks very kind at first glance. That should be Ning Buxu. Seeing that this group of experts not only did not attack but also talked about him, Ning Tian could not help but be stunned. Why are these guys so sweet? However, he heard a familiar name from the mouths of these fellows. Nihility God Emperor Old Su? Ning Tian frowned and looked at the group of experts in the sky and asked, "What is going on?" On the battleship, Patriarch Sha Qiu looked at Ning Tian and sincerely said, "Thank you, fellow Taoist Ning." Fellow Taoist is indeed someone who has calculated everything. Although the final result hasn't changed, fellow Taoist's heart has moved us. Ning Tian carefully typed a question mark. Who are you? Do I know you? However, doubts were doubts. However, he did not show it. Instead, he smiled and said, "Ha ha. After all, if you want to grasp the secrets of heaven, you have to try to change them. This is the true essence of the divination technique." I see. You are indeed Taoist Ning. Hearing this, the group of experts showed a different expression. Unexpectedly, Taoist Ning was not afraid of the heavenly Tao and dared to face the divination technique directly. It should be known that the experts they knew were all afraid of the divination technique and did not dare to reveal it. However, Ning Buxu was different. He was a man. So, what happened? After all, I can't remember the divination technique. At this time, Ning Tian happened to be puzzled. Haha, it's like this. The clan leader of the Sand God clan told them everything. After he finished, the group of people from the Tianma cult had strange expressions. F***CK? Is this even possible? Could it be that this was a typical case of being bought by someone and still counting money for them? Acknowledging a thief as your father? The person who drove your spies out of the heavenly spirit domain is Ning Buxu, the person you want to thank. I see. The corners of Ning Tian's mouth lifted slightly. It seemed that he did not deceive old Su in vain. He had learned everything he needed to learn. So, other than thanking me, what else do you want from me? Ha ha! You are indeed Taoist Ning. You can see that we have other purposes at a glance. Sha Qiu laughed. The group of experts from other domains also confirmed Ning Tian's identity. However, Ning Tian only wanted to say, "How can a group of people come to me to thank me?" We saw a magical sapling in the gloomy Wind Mountain range. It has great power. We specially brought it here to ask Taoist Ning to take a look and help us calculate what it is. Sapling? Ning Tian was stunned. Wasn't the unknown tree in his dantian? Could it be another sapling grew? However, in the next second, when Sha Qiu took out the magical sapling, he had a strange expression and almost laughed out loud. It was indeed a magical sapling. Author's words. The third update has been published. From now on, I will update in the early morning. I can't stay up all night. It's a little difficult. Don't read it in the early morning. Don't deliberately wait. It's not necessary. Your health is more important. Don't deliberately wait. In the end, you can't ask for banknotes anymore. The number of banknotes decrease day by day. Chapter 484. Sha Qiu was holding a magical object that looked no different from the weeds on the roadside. It was shrouded in a ball of light and carried a trace of Tian Fa's aura. It was no different from a weed. Ning Tian was very familiar with this weed. It was the one he put there casually. However, he didn't expect that this unintentional action of his was treated as a treasure by the experts from the other regions. This is? Although Ning Tian was very familiar with this weed, he still pretended to be puzzled and looked at Sha Qiu and the other foreign experts. Taoist Ning, this is the reason why we came to find you today. Sha Qiu smiled and looked at the magical sapling in his hand with a trace of passion. He said slowly, "This is a group of experts." However, before he could finish his words, Ning Tian raised his hand and interrupted him. "Why don't you let me do a divination?" Ning Tian's spirit qi transformed into a folding fan, which gave off the feeling of a deathly fortune-teller. His folding fan swayed slightly, and a few stars appeared. He executed a spirit art that dazzled Sha Qiu and the others before he slowly spoke. I think this should be the ancient tree of Tian-Fa. Tian-Fa. Sha Qiu and the others' eyes lit up when they heard this. Although they did not know what the Tian-Fa ancient tree was, they had heard of the Tian-Fa before. Originally, they had guessed that the sapling that grew in the Tian-Fa ancient tree might be related to the Tian-Fa ancient tree. Now that they heard Ning Buxu's words, their eyes lit up. Ha! Patriarch, with the ancient tree of Tian-Fa, you will be able to show your invincible power on the ancient road to godhood. Some Sand God clan experts started to laugh. Not all the experts here would go to the ancient road to godhood. After all, there were only a few spots. Ha! Sha Qiu laughed and was a little excited. He then looked at Ning Tian and said, Taoist Ning, you are indeed worthy of being called Taoist Ning. You can see through it at a glance. That's right. This is the famous ancient tree of Tian-Fa. Hearing Sha Qiu spouting nonsense with a straight face, Ning Tian felt embarrassed for him. The famous tree of heaven's punishment was just something he made up. I didn't expect you guys to be able to find the Tian-Fa ancient tree. I'm really envious, Ning Tian sighed. He pretended to be envious and said, with the ancient tree of heaven punishment, you will be able to display your divine power on the ancient road to godhood and obtain the guide to godhood. I seem to be able to see the divine realm beckoning to you all. Ha ha! Then I'll have to rely on fellow Taoist Ning's auspicious words. Sha Qiu and the others burst into laughter when they heard Ning Tian's words. They instantly felt that victory was in their hands. They were quite confident in their own strength. Now that they had the ancient tree of heavenly punishment, who could stop them? Do you know how to absorb the heavenly punishment? Ning Tian suddenly asked. Absorption method? Hearing this, the smiles on the faces of Sha Qiu and the others froze. They frowned and asked in confusion, Fellow Taoist Ning, what did you mean? Can the heavenly punishment be absorbed and not comprehended? Not really. Ning Tian shook his head slightly. The corners of his mouth curled up into a smile. He began to bluff in a serious manner. The law of heaven and earth is not something you can comprehend. You? Sha Qiu and the others' faces changed. Was Ning Buxu looking down on them? However, before they could get angry, Ning Buxu continued, only godly realm experts can comprehend the law of heaven and earth. We can only absorb it. There is a big difference between absorbing and comprehending. Could it be that you think you have reached the level of godly realm experts? This, Sha Qiu and the others' faces softened when they heard this. Although Ning Buxu seemed to be pointing at their noses and scolding them, it seemed that they could not refute him. After all, how could they be qualified to take advantage of godly realm experts? So, we are going to absorb the law of heavenly punishment. Coincidentally, I have a method to absorb it. Ning Tian's lips curled up into a kind smile. He looked at Sha Qiu and the others and said, Since we are fated to meet, why don't I impart it to you? Ancestral Master? The Grand Elder and the others were stunned for a moment. However, they reacted quickly. This was their ancestral master. How could he be so kind? There must be something fishy. Who hadn't been tricked by their ancestral master before? After being stunned for a moment, they reacted. Luo Wuqing and Su Yueyao looked at them indifferently from the beginning. They seemed to have understood Ning Tian's actions. Fated to meet us? Sha Qiu and the others were stunned. They looked at the kind Ning Tian and couldn't help but frown. Fellow Taoist Ning looks very kind, but is he really so kind? He can impart it to us, but fellow Taoist Ning, you have to comprehend it first. Sha Qiu was afraid of a trick at first glance. He looked at Ning Tian and said faintly. Hearing this, Ning Tian smiled knowingly and said, No problem. He was afraid that these guys wouldn't be fooled and his aura of kindness would be wasted. Immediately, Ning Tian took the ancient tree of heavenly punishment from Sha Qiu and pretended to fiddle with it. Sha Qiu and the others were dazzled. Was it so troublesome to absorb the law of heavenly punishment? Soon, an aura condensed in Ning Tian's hand. Everyone, I've tried my best. After all, with my aptitude, this is all I can do. As he spoke, he raised his hand. It was a faint trace of the law of heavenly punishment. It's really effective. Seeing this, Sha Qiu and the others' eyes lit up. They immediately showed a satisfied smile. It seems that fellow Taoist Ning's absorption method is really effective. I wonder when fellow Taoist Ning is willing to teach us? As he spoke, he took the ancient tree of heavenly punishment from Ning Tian. He was afraid that Ning Tian would continue to absorb it. Well, I can do it now. Ning Tian showed a smile. Okay. Sha Qiu and the others nodded vigorously. Next, under the guidance of Ning Tian, Sha Qiu and the other experts began to cultivate the so-called absorption method. Fellow Taoist Ning, why do you have to circle 3 times to the left and 3 times to the right? Absorption needs. Fellow Taoist Ning, why do you have to pinch your nose and walk in circles? Absorption needs. Next, they had various strange cultivation postures. But when they asked Ning Tian, they all answered with the words, absorption needs. They saw with their own eyes that Ning Tian had grasped a trace of the law of heavenly punishment. Naturally, they didn't doubt it. Just like that, Sha Qiu and the others have cultivated the aura of kindness. It is taking effect. When the system's voice sounded in his mind, Ning Tian showed a smile and looked at Sha Qiu and the others playfully. Congratulations on your success. Go back and cultivate well. Just comprehend it. Really? Why don't I feel any change? Sha Qiu and the others felt strange. There was no law of heavenly punishment in their bodies, but they suddenly felt a sense of familiarity with Ning Tian. It was as if Ning Tian was their father. Go back and comprehend it well. There will naturally be a miraculous effect. Ning Tian said with a smile. These people weren't strong. Only Sha Qiu had stepped into the demigod realm. The rest were 9 tribulations' great emperors. It was easy for them to kill them, but there were free fighters. Why wouldn't they? Its father. No. Fellow Taoist Ning, the few of them felt more and more strange as they looked at Ning Tian, who was becoming more and more amiable. They almost let the cat out of the bag. They didn't dare to hesitate any longer and quickly led their subordinates away. If this continued, they would really call Ning Tian daddy. The author's words, to be honest. This chapter is a bit lame. But this plot has to be finished. Otherwise, the grass and the aura of kindness that Ning Tian casually threw out before won't work. This is also to give Ning Tian some free combat power on the ancient road to godhood. But I don't want to write so much. I can only speed up this chapter. Otherwise, I can write 3 chapters for this plot alone. But there is really no need. So this chapter looks a bit awkward. In short, Ning Tian tricked them to cultivate the aura of kindness to lay the foundation for his own ancient road to godhood. There are still 2 chapters left. Chapter 485. Phew, another free source of combat power. Looking at the sky where Sha Qiu and the other experts' battleships were flying away from the heavenly demon cult, Ning Tian's lips curled into a smile as he let out a long sigh of relief. With the power of kindness, they would become his fighters on the ancient road to godhood. Hiss! Hearing the patriarchs murmur, the Supreme Elder and the Lord of the Divine Nation gasped and twitched their mouths. They had assumed that there would be a fierce battle when these foreign elites came to the Sky Demon cult with such ferocity, but their patriarch had resolved it with a few words. Moreover, from the patriarch's words, it seemed that these guys were already under his control? What the hell? How did this become free fighting force for the patriarch? It was quite sudden. A half-baked demigod and a few 9 tribulation great emperors can only be cannon fodder. Luo Wuqing said lightly. If she hadn't seen through Ning Tian's plan, she would have slapped Sha Qiu and the others to death. Although they were all demigods, the gap between them was like heaven and earth. Haha. Then be cannon fodder. It's better than nothing. Ning Tian laughed. The ancient road to godhood was full of dangers, and some people had to be their stepping stones. Sha Qiu and the others just happened to come here, so they couldn't blame him. Well, honey, I have something to give you. Ning Tian looked at Luo Wuqing and Su Yueyao. What is it? Luo Wuqing's pretty face showed a trace of confusion. Is it for our children? Su Yueyao licked her red lips and giggled. She looked at Ning Tian. They hadn't seen each other for 3 months. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. She missed him very much. Well, that's fine. Little wife, now that you mention it, I'm in the mood. Ning Tian touched his chin, thought for a moment, and nodded. He took the 2 women's hands, stepped into the air, and disappeared in an instant. Then it's decided. Honey, let's finish the battle first, and then I'll give you something. Hey! Don't make a decision on your own. Luo Wuqing's somewhat helpless voice could still be heard from the disappearing space. These 2 fellows, every time they fought, they just had to drag him along. Outside the hall, a group of people had subtle expressions on their faces, as if they understood what was going on. Could it be the patriarch and the others were still on the ancient road to godhood, giving birth to a child for them to play with? When Bai Lu heard the discussion of the Grand Elder and the others, she thought of the small book she had just seen. Her little face became even redder. She hugged the death bell and squatted in the corner, burying her slightly hot little face in her arms. Several days later, the news of the Heavenly Spirit Region's ancient road to godhood had spread throughout the 9 regions. All the experts knew the location of the ancient road. When they arrived at the Heavenly Spirit Region and saw the huge stone gate in the sky, their faces turned grave. The cultivators of the 9 regions were all waiting. They were waiting for the stone door to open and the ancient road to godhood opened. Behind the Tianma cult, in a small house. Phew! Ning Tian stretched and looked very satisfied. It seemed that his title of Ning Buxu was not in vain. He had gained 0.33 seconds more than last time. The 2 women put on their clothes. Luo Wuqing glared at this guy with shame and anger. Originally, she did not think much about the immortal realm. Now, she could not wait to become a god immediately. That way, she could at least suppress this guy. Now, both of them were no match for him. Haha, Su Yueyao did not think much of it. She licked her red lips, still wanting more. Hee. My 2 wives have worked hard. Come, give me a kiss. Ning Tian chuckled out. After all, 3 months of seclusion was truly a little unbearable. Once it was released, there was no stopping it. Go to hell. Luo Wuqing rolled her eyes at him. Then, she stretched tiredly, outlining her perfect curve. She looked at Ning Tian and asked, Now that we are done with the business, can you tell us what you want to give us? Haha. Didn't I just give it to you? Ning Tian laughed and said meaningfully. Luo Wuqing blushed and rolled her eyes at Ning Tian. It's useless even if you give it to me. You're still a 9-star god emperor now. Wait until you break through to the demigod realm, then we can talk about it slowly. Ning Tian spread his hands, looking very confident. It might be difficult to become a demigod. As for the imperial tribulation, haha, wasn't it fine as long as he had hands? It was just that he was too lazy to go through it now. Don't forget how Ning Tian had come so far. He had experienced the lightning tribulation the most. The imperial tribulation was just a higher level of the lightning tribulation, but he was still confident. As for why he didn't go through it now, he had his own plans. Tell me, do we want a girl, a boy, or both? Ning Tian smirked. Looking at Luo Wuqing, whose face was gradually turning red, he laughed. Okay, I won't tease you anymore. After speaking, he used the dispelling knowledge skill. 2 halos appeared in his hands, and he looked at the 2 girls. The ancient road to godhood is about to open. Even if it's you, I think you should be careful. This time, we will not only face the strongest of the 9 regions, but also the unknown dangers on the ancient road. So, only by becoming stronger can we protect ourselves. This is the comprehension of the time law and the death law. Previously, when you swallowed the Tao fruit, your bodies have already adapted to the laws. With the comprehension of these two laws, you might be able to truly comprehend the laws of heaven and earth before the ancient road to godhood. The two girls were blessed by the heavens. Their aptitudes were slightly inferior to Ning Tian. After all, their heavenly god bodies were incomparable. Now that they had the dispelling knowledge, skill, comprehending the laws of heaven and earth was just a matter of time. Okay. Got it. Hearing Ning Tian's serious words, the two girls nodded and each took the comprehension of the laws of heaven and earth. Okay, then hurry up. The ancient road to godhood will open at any time. By the way, Ning Tian was halfway through his words when he suddenly frowned. He sensed a familiar aura. Honey, what's the matter? Su Yueyao asked. It's that damn fortune-teller. He's probably looking for me for something. Ning Tian said casually, looking indifferent. Ignore him for now. Continue what we were saying just now. During this time, don't worry about cultivating. I'll take care of the Tianma cult. Okay. Okay, then I'll go first. After speaking, Ning Tian disappeared on the spot. This guy really pulls up his pants and leave. Su Yueyao snorted. Scumbag. Scumbag. In the outside world. In the sky above the Tianma cult. Damn fortune-teller, why are you looking for me? Ning Tian's figure flashed and stepped out of the void. He looked at Chen Gejiang, who was holding a folding fan in his hand, and asked with a frown. Naturally, it's about the ancient road to godhood. Chen Gejiang waved the folding fan in his hand and said with a smile. Fellow Taoist Ning, do you want to learn the divination art? Author's words. There's one more. Chapter 486. Tianma Cult, Stormwind House. Damn fortune-teller, what did you just say? Divination? Ning Tian took a sip of tea and looked at Chen Gaijiang. That's right. Chen Gaijiang nodded slightly and sipped his tea calmly. Hearing this, Ning Tian put down his teacup and rubbed his chin. He was suddenly interested. He looked at Chen Gaijiang and raised his eyebrows. Damn fortune-teller, you're so kind as to teach me divination? Of course. Chen Gaijiang also put down his teacup and looked at Ning Tian. Taoist Ning, have you ever heard of divination that leads to divine retribution? I've heard of it. Ning Tian nodded. And in my divination pavilion, all the pavilion masters died from divine retribution because they couldn't escape from divine retribution, Chen Gaijiang said slowly. Oh. Ning Tian frowned and said unhappily, so you're saying that you're going to suffer divine retribution and that's why you're teaching me your divination? Are you trying to drag me down with you? Sorry, I'm afraid of death. It's fine if you don't learn the divination. Chen Gaijiang was speechless. What, you're not afraid of death? Ning Tian said seriously. He wasn't so hypocritical and righteous. If he was afraid of death, he was afraid of death. It wasn't a disgrace. Who wasn't afraid of death? Chen Gaijiang was speechless again and shook his head helplessly. My divine retribution hasn't come yet, but Taoist Ning's divine retribution definitely won't come. He paused for a moment. Then he looked at Ning Tian seriously. At least it won't be because of the divination. Because you have no divine retribution. The divine retribution won't fall on you. If you master the divination, as long as you're strong enough, you'll be able to calculate divine retribution without fear. Even Chen Gaijiang looked a little excited when he mentioned the divine retribution. In other words, I can use the divination limitlessly without worrying about the consequences. Ning Tian raised his eyebrows. To be precise, that is indeed the case. Chen Gejiang nodded. When old ancestor Wang Tian had told him that Ning Tian did not have the mandate of heaven, he was even more certain of his suspicions. Unfortunately, old ancestor Wang Tian had basically become a cripple after divining Ning Tian's mandate of heaven. This was the price of divining the secrets of the heavens. This is also the reason why I believe in fellow Taoist Ning among all the heavenly god bodies. Chen Gaijiang looked at Ning Tian seriously and said slowly, the previous celestial bodies all had their own destiny, but you have no destiny. This is why I believe in you. Your destiny is in your own hands and not in the hands of the heavens. This world is far from what I imagined it to be. It's even more exciting. Chen Gaijiang's eyes flashed. Perhaps, Ning Tian said faintly, but many thoughts were running through his mind. No destiny. Could it be that the soul of the original owner had already died, and this new soul from another world was not originally from the Tian Xian land, so the heavenly law could not control him? Interesting. The corners of his mouth lifted slightly as he looked at Chen Gaijiang. All right, give it to me. Chen Gaijiang nodded slightly and took out a scroll. I'll say this first. The heavenly secret technique of each generation is different, so there is only the initial template of the heavenly secret technique. As for how well you can use the heavenly secret technique, it all depends on you, fellow Taoist Ning. I understand. Ning Tian took the scroll and put it in his storage ring after weighing it for a while. Fellow Taoist Ning, are you not going to comprehend it? If there is anything you don't understand, maybe I can give you some pointers. Seeing that Ning Tian did not even look at it, Chen Gaijiang could not help but be a little confused. No need. Comprehending the heavenly secret technique is as simple as drinking tea for me. The important thing is how to comprehend my own heavenly secret technique. Ning Tian waved her hand slightly and took a sip of tea after saying that. Chen Gaijiang, although I feel that fellow Taoist Ning's words are somewhat reasonable, I suspect that you are just pretending. Fellow Taoist, do your best. Every ancient road to godhood is filled with killing. Not many people can survive, and not many people can become gods. Many of those who become gods also die in the divine domain. In short, I believe that even the divine domain can't stop your footstep. Chen Gaijiang sighed and said, perhaps. Ning Tian held her teacup and said faintly. The two drank tea in place of wine and enjoyed it. Outside in the sky, cultivators from various regions came and went, all waiting for the ancient road to open. A month had passed. More and more experts gathered in the heavenly spirit region. In the sky, the tightly shut stone door also slowly opened, emitting a suffocating pressure of the heavenly Tao and a unique power. The experts of the 9 regions all knew that this power was divine power. It was divine power from the God realm. Tianma cult. Boom. The surrounding houses were destroyed, accompanied by a series of exclamations, which attracted the attention of many experts in the Tianma cult. The ancestral master has come out of seclusion. Ning Tian walked out of the ruins. His face was full of stubble, and he seemed to have experienced many vicissitudes of life. Seeing this, the Grand Elder and the others were puzzled. What had the ancestral master experienced? It had only been a month, but to the ancestral master, it was like spring and autumn had passed. Phew, Ning Tian breathed a long sigh of relief. His spirit energy moved slightly, and the stubble on his face fell. Although it had only been a month, he had stayed in the sand of time domain for a full year. That was why he was so different from the outside world. Although his strength had not increased, he had comprehended what he needed to comprehend. He just did not want to improve his strength. Where are Wuqing and Yu Yao? Ning Tian asked slowly as he looked at the people of the Tianma cult. His voice was a little hoarse at first, but it quickly recovered to its usual cheerful tone. Ancestral Master, the Empress and the Holy Master have not come out of seclusion, the Grand Elder said respectfully. Although the Ancestral Master's strength had not increased, he still gave them an invisible pressure that was enough to make them breathless. I got it. Ning Tian nodded slightly and said indifferently, what about Bai Lu? Miss Bai Lu is handling the sex affairs, the Grand Elder said. Hearing this, Ning Tian felt a little embarrassed. He had wanted to handle the sex affairs himself, but this month, he had gone to comprehend the divine secret art and consolidate his strength. Once again, he had become a shopkeeper who did nothing. How is the ancient road to godhood? Ancestral Master, the ancient road to godhood. Before the Grand Elder could finish his words, suddenly, boom, boom, a series of explosions could be heard in the sky. Then, an invisible pressure of the heavenly Tao spread out from the stone door and enveloped the entire Tianling domain in an instant. Under this pressure, the Grand Elder and the others could not resist at all. With a thump, they fell to their knees. They were completely powerless under the pressure of the heavenly Tao. Only Ning Tian was still standing in the same place. Although he was affected, he was still able to stand firm. He looked at the sky with a solemn expression and muttered to himself, "The ancient road to godhood has finally opened." Author's words. These chapters are transitional. There is definitely some water and it is also a little boring. But there is no other way. There must be a transition period before entering the ancient road. We can't enter it all at once. I can only try my best to shorten the transition period. Tomorrow we will officially enter the ancient road. It's not easy. Chapter 487. In the sky, the stone gate that was thousands of meters wide opened slowly. The ancient and mysterious runes on the stone gate lit up slowly, and a force that could make everyone submit to it condensed. Boom. Rumble. At the same time, strange phenomena appeared all over the 9 regions. The rivers stopped flowing, and strange flames fell from the sky. At this moment, countless cultivators in the 9 regions raised their heads and looked at the sky with burning eyes. The stone gate in the sky opened slowly, emitting the pressure of the heavenly Tao, which made all the cultivators look at it with burning eyes. That was the place they yearned for. The ancient road to godhood. Legend had it that those who stepped on the ancient road to godhood could enter the divine realm if they obtained the guide to godhood. They could then go to the divine realm, where the real fighting power of the mysterious sky world was. The divine realm. Although it was only 2 words, it represented the yearning of countless people. The ancient road to godhood. It's finally opened again. Countless cultivators were excited and looked at the sky. I wonder which domain's most powerful expert will come out of the ancient road to godhood and enter the divine realm. Some cultivators couldn't help but guess. Every time the ancient road to godhood ended, the heavenly Tao would announce the result of the ancient road to godhood. This result would affect the development of the 9 regions. Once someone from a sect entered the divine realm, his sect would also be affected. As the saying went, when a man achieves the Tao, his chickens and dogs will also ascend to heaven. The last time the ancient road to godhood opened was not long ago, but no one became a god. It seems that someone succeeded tens of thousands of years ago. The one who left the deepest impression on me was the previous emperor of the limitless divine dynasty in the firmament territory. Tisk. I wonder if someone will succeed this time. Due to the opening of the ancient road to godhood, the 9 regions were in an uproar. The heavenly spirit territory. The pressure that lasted for nearly half an hour finally came to an end. This was the place where the ancient road to godhood opened, so the pressure here was far greater than that of the other spirit realms. At this moment, all the cultivators were panting for breath. They were sweating profusely and their faces were pale. The spirit chi in their bodies had already dissipated. Some of the weaker cultivators had already collapsed on the ground. All the cultivators looked at the stone gate in the sky. There was not only fanaticism in their eyes, but also a kind of respect. A kind of respect for the heavenly Tao and the divine realm. Tianma cult. The Grand Elder and the other elders' backs were drenched in cold sweat. Their bodies were trembling, and their hearts were filled with fear. This was merely the opening of the ancient road to godhood. Wouldn't the heavenly Tao's suppression be even stronger? If the patriarch and the others went to the ancient road to godhood at this moment, the Supreme Elder and the other elders couldn't help but break out in a cold sweat for Ning Tian. After climbing up from the ground, they all looked at Ning Tian. However, when they looked over, their expressions changed drastically. Their eyes were filled with shock and reverence. Under the terrifying pressure of the heavenly Tao, the ancestral master actually acted as if nothing had happened. The expression on his handsome face remained indifferent. His eyes were cold, his brows were relaxed, and his body was ramrod straight. Not even a trace of cold sweat flowed down from his body. Even the fluctuation of spiritual energy did not appear. It was as though, to the ancestral master, it was as if the pressure of the heavenly Tao no longer existed. A man that even the heavenly Tao's suppression can't intimidate. The Supreme Elder and the other Tianma cult elders immediately sucked in a breath of cold air. Their understanding of the ancestral master had reached a new height. You have shocked the Supreme Elder. You have received an unknown gift package. The ancient road to godhood will be automatically unlocked. At this moment, when the system's voice sounded in his mind, Ning Tian came back to his senses. The star-like light in his eyes dissipated. He frowned slightly. An unknown gift package? Interesting. Ancestral Master, can you ignore the heavenly Tao's suppression? The Supreme Elder looked at Ning Tian. He swallowed his saliva, and his tone was somewhat solemn. The look in his eyes was not as if he was looking at a person, but a god. The heavenly Tao's suppression? Ning Tian was stunned for a moment. A trace of doubt flashed in his eyes. What's the heavenly Tao's suppression? He was not pretending to be stupid. It was because he really did not feel the heavenly Tao's suppression. The reason why he was in a daze just now was that he was using the divine secret to crack the ancient talisman on the stone door. The ancient talisman was very powerful. If he could crack it, it would definitely be of great use. Unfortunately, he could not see it now. As expected of the ancestral master is awesome. He will always be a god. Hearing Ning Tian's words, the Supreme Elder and the others could only smile bitterly. They sighed helplessly and shook their heads. The ancestral master was still their ancestral master. He was so ridiculous that even the heavenly Tao's suppression could not intimidate him. However, what the Supreme Elder and the others did not know was that Ning Tian did not have the mandate of heaven. The heavenly Tao could not intimidate him. However, if it were a mighty figure above the god realm, this kind of suppression would still be effective on Ning Tian. Phew, the ancient road to godhood has finally opened. Next, I may be able to enter when the time is right. Ning Tian breathed a long sigh of relief. At this moment, the space around him fluctuated as if time had stopped. Then, two beautiful figures stepped out of the space. A familiar fragrance greeted him. Wives, you've come out of seclusion? Seeing the two women beside him, Ning Tian could not help but smile. Now that the two women had come out of seclusion, everything was ready. Yes? Luo Wuqing's beautiful face was cold. She nodded slightly and said, Yue Yao and I have completely comprehended the laws of heaven and earth. As she spoke, the corners of her mouth curled up. That was a confident smile. Not bad. Comprehending the laws of heaven and earth in a month. As expected of my wives. Ning Tian laughed and hugged the two women in his arms. Instantly, the two women rolled their eyes. It seemed that they still remembered how Ning Tian put on his pants and left a month ago. This scumbag. The Supreme Elder and the others were speechless. Damn it. 3 monsters. Comprehending the laws of heaven and earth in a month. Listen, is this something a human can say? The Empress and the Holy Master were already blessed by the heavens. Their husbands were even more ridiculous. What a sin. The ancient road to godhood has opened. What do we need to do now? Ning Tian looked at Luo Wuqing and asked. At this moment, the importance of reading more books was reflected. Luo Wuqing had read many ancient texts. Naturally, she knew what they needed to do. She said indifferently, "Now we only need to wait. Wait for the person who opened the ancient road to set the rules. If we act rashly now, there will only be one outcome. That is to be killed by the pressure of the heavenly Tao." Ah! At this moment, a miserable scream came from the sky. "Look, it's the same as that person." Luo Wuqing pointed at the corpse falling from the sky and said indifferently. It was a 9-star divine emperor expert. He wanted to check the thick stone door. Unfortunately, before he could get close, his body was shattered by the terrifying pressure of the heavenly Tao. Sigh. Seeing this scene, Ning Tian sighed. What did this mean? It meant that reading more books was really useful. If he had read the ancient texts, he would not have courted death like this. Chapter 488. In that case, let's wait patiently. Don't act rashly. Ning Tian said casually and then asked the Supreme Elder to call Bai Lu and the flame-sealing Lion King over. Now the entire heavenly spirit realm, whether it was the cultivators from other realms or those who already lived here, were all focused on the ancient road to godhood. At this time, there was no need to worry about someone coming to make trouble. The sex affairs could be temporarily put aside and the focus shifted to the ancient road to godhood. Soon, Bai Lu floated over with the death bell in her arms, and the flame-sealing Lion King followed behind her. When the soul and the lion came over, Bai Lu's little face was still a little rosy. She kept looking at Luo Wuqing and Su Yueyao's lower abdomens. Her little eyes turned as if she was thinking of something. "Bai Lu, what are you doing?" Seeing this girl like this, Ning Tian and the two girls couldn't help but feel a little strange. "I'm waiting for the Empress and Holy Lord's babies to be born so I can teach them soul technique. Geniuses must be taught from a young age." Bai Lu hugged the death bell and said with a serious face. It seemed that this girl had a deep interest in human children. Hearing this, Luo Wuqing and Su Yueyao were stunned. The former gritted her teeth and glared at Ning Tian. This guy only knew how to lead Bai Lu astray. The latter, on the other hand, was chuckling non-stop. She was looking forward to it. "Ha! Not yet." Ning Tian laughed and spread his hands. His realm wasn't equal yet. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't get pregnant. Unless his strength was equal to the two girls. At that time, the chances of getting pregnant would be much higher. However, Ning Tian's child, even if I don't teach it from a young age, it will definitely be a genius. Who knows, it might even be a holy physique or something. He smiled and his tone was very confident. At the side, the Supreme Elder and the others had already revealed a motherly smile. They didn't doubt the words of the founder. After all, the parents' genes were there. It would be difficult for Ning Tian's child to keep a low profile. Damn. I'm afraid he's another act tough king. However, after the founder becomes a god, will he return to the heavenly spirit realm? Would he be able to return to the 9 zones? One had to know that once an expert reached the deity realm and stayed in the deity realm, it would be very difficult for them to return to the 9 regions. This was also the reason why the demigods of the 9 regions were the strongest. Thinking of this, the Supreme Elder and the others' expressions became somewhat desolate. If the Patriarch were to leave, the Tianma cult would probably lose a lot of its joy. Alright, one by one. Looking at the group of old men wiping their tears, Ning Tian rolled his eyes at them and said, "How old are you people? Why are you still crying?" "It's just the deity realm. If I become a deity, I'll naturally return. After all, the Tianma cult is my home. It began with the Skyfiend and ended with the Skyfiend. Don't worry. Don't tell me you don't believe in your ancestral master?" Ning Tian smiled and looked at the group of old men. "Woo-woo, of course I do. Ancestral master." The Supreme Elder and the other elders cried loudly and rushed directly toward Ning Tian, each of them looking very reluctant to part with him. "Ancestral master, if you leave, who will take care of the Tianma cult?" "You?" Ancestral Master, if you leave, won't the 10 tons of building materials I prepared be used to buy a place? Woo woo. Alright, everyone, stop before going too far. And Supreme Elder, you old man, can you not take the opportunity to wipe your snot on my clothes? Seeing the group of elders like this, Luo Wuqing and Su Yueyao smiled and shook their heads helplessly. Parting was a common thing, and cultivators should understand this principle even more. However, no one knew if this parting was for the next time they met, or if it would be farewell forever. Half an hour later, Ning Tian changed his clothes with a look of disgust, then looked at the Supreme Elder and the others and said very seriously, "On this trip, the Tianma cult will be under your control." Yes. The Supreme Elder and the others nodded heavily, and Ning Tian continued. "I come back from the Divine Realm and see the Tianma cult in decline. Even if you die, I will dig out your bones from the grave and whip you. Otherwise, it won't be enough to vent my anger," Ning Tian said fiercely. The group of elders, suddenly, they felt their bodies tremble. This didn't seem like a good task. After settling the matters of the Tianma cult, Ning Tian and the others could finally go to the ancient road to godhood with peace of mind. Boom! At this moment, in the sky, the stone door rumbled, and suddenly the pressure of the heavenly Tao appeared again. In front of the stone door that was thousands of meters in size, a strong pressure condensed and formed a chaotic illusory figure. The illusory figure was 100 meters in size and floated in front of the stone door. The heavenly Tao illusory figure. Seeing this scene, Luo Wuqing frowned slightly and murmured, as expected, not only will the ancient road to godhood change, but even the appearance of the heavenly Tao illusory figure will change. Change. Ning Tian was a little confused. Luo Wuqing nodded slightly and her beautiful eyes fell on the heavenly Tao illusory figure. Her red lips parted slightly and said, "According to the ancient records, the ancient road to godhood will change, and the heavenly Tao illusory figure will also change before the ancient road opens. For example, the heavenly Tao illusory figure last time was a strange human face, and the one before that was a divine dragon, but this time, it's a human figure. According to the ancient records, the heavenly Tao is impermanent, and the illusory figure is ever-changing. The illusory figure is ever-changing." Ning Tian frowned when she heard that. She muttered to herself as she looked at the 100-meter-tall humanoid figure. It was a mass of chaos and she could not see through it. However, it had boundless power that could crush all living things. Phew! The heavenly Tao! Ning Tian let out a long sigh of relief. After seeing the power of the heavenly Tao illusory figure, he sighed slightly, but soon recovered his normal state of mind. At this moment, all the strong cultivators of the heavenly spirit region and the 9 regions were looking at the heavenly Tao illusory figure with endless reverence in their eyes. The heavenly Tao was the most mysterious existence in the profound sky world. No one had ever figured out what its existence was. At this moment, the heavenly Tao illusory figure spoke. It was a voice that couldn't be distinguished between a man and a woman. It carried an innate pressure that rang from the sky, resounding throughout the heavenly spirit region, and then spread to the 9 regions. Everyone heard it clearly. The ancient road has opened. Those who want to become godhood, step on the ancient road. The rules of the ancient road will be known on the ancient road. Becoming godhood is not only about victory and defeat, but also about life and death. If you live, you will become godhood. If you die, you will turn into ashes on the ancient road. The voice fell. All the cultivators' eyes were burning with passion. It was a kind of excitement, a desire to reach the godhood. A few words can stimulate everyone's emotions. Is this the heavenly Tao? Ning Tian said indifferently. Unlike the others, he maintained a trace of calmness and composure from beginning to end. At this moment, the voice of the heavenly Tao illusory figure sounded again. And Chapter 489. In the sky, the voice of the illusory figure of the great path sounded again with a thunderous roar. Instantly, all the experts and cultivators held their breaths and looked up with solemn gazes. What else? What else? The rules of the ancient road to godhood have changed. All the great emperors who have entered the first tribulation are qualified to enter the ancient road to godhood. The voice of the illusory figure of the great path echoed. What? How is this possible? The voice of the illusory figure of the great path echoed throughout the 9 regions. All the cultivators looked up, their eyes filled with deep shock and a trace of eagerness. In the past, although the ancient road to godhood had changed every time, the qualifications were the same. No spiritual region only had the corresponding qualifications. Only those who had the qualifications could enter the ancient road to godhood. Even if you were a 9 tribulation great emperor, you could only stop if you didn't have the qualifications. Previously, Righteous Sky Great Emperor and Old Su had attacked the Tianma cult for the qualifications of the Heavenly Spirit region. But now, as long as one's strength reached the first tribulation Great Emperor level, he could enter the ancient road to godhood. In other words, times had changed, and the chances of becoming a god had increased. At this moment, the 9 regions fell into a dead silence. All the cultivators swallowed their saliva and tried to calm themselves down, but they couldn't do it. This could very well be a change in the era, and they could witness it. This time, the number of cultivators who entered the ancient road would be dozens or even hundreds of times more than before. After a few minutes of deathly silence, numerous powerful auras started to awaken from all over the 9 regions. After that, they transformed into numerous shooting stars that shot explosively towards the celestial spirit region. This situation was happening all over the 9 regions. Some old immortals who were nearing the end of their lifespans came out of seclusion and went to the ancient road to godhood to fight for a chance of survival. As long as they could become a god, their lifespan would be extended. Seeing this, countless cultivators swallowed their saliva and were extremely shocked. So many cultivators were going to the ancient road to godhood. It's over. It's over. This era had changed. How exciting would the ancient road to godhood be? On the ancient road to godhood, all the heroes were fighting for the guide to godhood. This ancient road to godhood was definitely the most exciting one in the history of the ancient road to godhood. If anyone could stand out from the rest, then that person's deity position would most likely be the strongest. Hiss! At this moment, the spectating cultivators of the 9 realms were already looking forward to it. Tsk tisk. This is crazy. Ning Tian clicked his tongue and sighed as he looked at the slowly dissipating image of the heaven Tao in the sky, and a bright light flashed in his eyes. The operation of the heavenly Tao was indeed a little strange. How could so many cultivators suddenly step onto the ancient road to godhood? One had to know that becoming a deity was not determined by quantity, but by quality. Those who were not strong enough would also die if they entered. These cultivators were merely agitated by the words of the heavenly Tao's phantom, but they had never thought that with their strength, even if they entered the ancient road to godhood, they would only be cannon fodder. They were just materials to send themselves to their deaths. But they were still holding on to hope that they would be lucky. This kind of luck had already caused them to lose their rationality. After all, that was a chance to become a god. My wives, after entering the ancient road to godhood, it seems like we have to be careful. Ning Tian looked at Luo Wuqing and Su Yueyao with a dignified look in his eyes. The 2 women nodded slightly as they also knew that something was not right. However, even though something was not right, this ancient road to godhood was probably much more difficult than any other time. The hunt has begun. Who is the prey and who is the hunter? Ning Tian muttered to himself with a smile on his face. There was a trace of anticipation in his heart. At this moment, the ancient road to godhood had been opened. The stone door emitted a sacred light that shone down below. Countless cultivators stood under the stone door. After being illuminated by the sacred light of the heavenly Tao, they disappeared. Obviously, they had entered the ancient road. It's getting late. Let's go. Ning Tian stretched his body and said to the group, "Okay." Luo Wuqing, Su Yueyao, and Bai Lu nodded. Before leaving, Ning Tian did not forget about the flame-sealing Lion King. He casually threw it into the imperial beast gourd. Then, the group moved and shot toward the stone door. The flame-sealing Lion King was bound to him by a soul contract. It belonged to him. Therefore, even without a first tribulation great emperor, he could still go there, as long as his master's strength reached the standard. Of course, the soul contract was only limited to the beast race. Under the stone door, the group stepped inside. The sacred light of the heavenly Tao fell on the three women. Instantly, a mark of the heavenly Tao appeared between their eyebrows. That was the qualification to be recognized by the ancient road to godhood. "Husband, we are ready." Luo Wuqing looked at Ning Tian and said slowly. They could enter the ancient road to godhood at any time. Ning Tian nodded slightly. However, when the sacred light shone on him, it revealed a trace of dazzling red. It shrouded his entire body, and there was a trace of rejection in the pressure. He was stunned for a moment. Many cultivators around looked over and sneered. "He dares to enter without a first tribulation great emperor? Ridiculous." Many people around mocked him. However, there were also many people who showed a trace of doubt. "That's strange. Why doesn't our ancestral master have a first tribulation great emperor?" Not far away, the Supreme Elder, the master of the divine nation, and other experts of the celestial spirit territory showed a trace of doubt. In their impression, their ancestral master was comparable to a demigod realm expert. Even among the experts of the firmament territory, Di Wuji, Emperor Su Shen, and other experts showed a trace of doubt. Ancestral master, no first tribulation great emperor? For a moment, all eyes were on Ning Tian. They were puzzled, mocking, and confused. "I see. It's simple." "Oh," Ning Tian replied indifferently. Then, she snapped her fingers and a 10,000-meter-long Emperor Tribulation divine lightning appeared in the sky. It was ferocious and its terrifying power caused many people's expressions to change. Is this guy going to pass the Emperor Tribulation on the spot? Without any preparation at all? And why was his Emperor Tribulation so huge? Right when everyone's gazes descended onto Ning Tian, he snapped his fingers once more, and a lightning dragon that was 10,000 meters long appeared behind him as well. It erupted with divine lightning and dragon might, and it actually swallowed the Emperor Tribulation lightning in a single gulp. The Emperor Tribulation was over. The red divine light on Ning Tian's body also dissipated. He had been recognized by the ancient road to godhood. The surroundings were deathly silent, but faint sighs could be heard. "Sigh. My Emperor Tribulation was wasted. Let's go, my wife." Then, the group of people slowly disappeared from this world. What the F***CK? He broke through just like that? The cultivators of the 9 regions were dumbfounded and shocked. Unfortunately, Ning Tian had already gone to another space. They were shocked that the reward had failed. He is indeed the ancestral master. Maybe he just sealed his strength for a while. Di Wuji sighed slightly. Then, he also walked toward the stone gate of the ancient road to godhood. At this moment, more and more cultivators disappeared under the heavenly Tao's divine light. Of course, not all the first tribulation great emperors had gone. It was their choice whether to go or not. Author's words, "I need money." Chapter 490. More and more cultivators entered the ancient road to godhood through the stone gates. As for the heavenly Tao divine radiance, it lasted for several hours before slowly dissipating. Between heaven and earth, an ancient road that led to the vault of heaven vaguely appeared. The appearance of the ancient road phantom also meant that the ancient road to godhood had opened. At this moment, all the cultivators of the 9 regions looked solemn and sighed. Tianma cult. Supreme Elder, the ancestral master and the others have left. Let's go back too, Elder Guhan and the other elders said slowly to the Supreme Elder. Okay. The Supreme Elder looked away from the ancient road in the sky and nodded heavily. He sighed and said, "Will the Tianma cult still be the same after the ancestral master, the Empress, and the Holy Master leave? No matter what, I'll let the ancestral master and the others see an even stronger Tianma cult when they return, even if it means risking my life." The ancient road to godhood had opened, but not all great emperor-level experts had gone there. Some were carried away, but some remained rational. In the Divine Kingdom. In the main hall, the Divine Kingdom Lord looked at Moon Spirit, who had a determined look in her beautiful eyes. He could not help but feel a little dazed. He seemed to see his younger self in her. He did not go to the ancient road to godhood. This was because he knew his own strength. So what if the ancestral master was there? If he was not strong enough, he would only be a burden to the ancestral master. Moreover, he could not let go of the Divine Kingdom. "Father, why have you called me here today?" Moon Spirit had returned from the firmament territory on the eve of the opening of the ancient road to godhood. She had also learned that the ancestral master had gone there. "From today onwards, you will be in charge of the Divine Kingdom." The Divine Kingdom Lord looked at Moon Spirit seriously and said slowly, "You are more suitable than your brothers and sisters." Moon Spirit was stunned for a moment. Then, without any hesitation, she nodded heavily. "Okay. Yes, Father." She wanted to work hard to catch up to the ancestral master. In the firmament territory. Ethereal sect. Sect Master, the ancient road to godhood has ended. Elder Hai Lu has also successfully stepped onto the ancient road to godhood. Elder Nan Yen walked over and looked at Anai Hongi, who was drinking tea under the tree. Anai Hongi nodded slightly with an indifferent look on her face. She did not choose to enter the ancient road to godhood either. Right? Ancestral Master has also entered the ancient road to godhood. Elder Nan Yen seemed to have thought of something as she looked at Anai Hongi with a complicated gaze. Anai Hongi was stunned for a moment. The tea in the cup shook slightly, as if ripples had appeared. She was silent for a moment, then after a soft sound of acknowledgement, she raised her head and drank the tea in one gulp. Big Sister Sect Leader, could it be that you've fallen in love with Ancestor? You look absent-minded. On the side, Yu Qin chuckled. Hearing this, Anai Hongi only frowned. What was love? If it was only to this extent, it should not be called love, but more of a kind of admiration. You little girl, go roast your horse meat. Elder Nan Yen glared at Yu Qin. This is my horse meat. Once you eat it, I guarantee that you'll forget all your love and hatred. This is called indifferent horse meat. Yu Qin's laughter spread very far and made the entire Misty Sect very happy. Endless sea domain. There was no wind on the surface of the sea, but there were waves. The surrounding sea beasts fled in all directions, as if a powerful person had awakened here. In the quiet sea, a young man in purple clothes appeared out of thin air. He stretched his body, and a purple light flashed in his eyes. Is this the feeling of being reborn after reincarnation? The ancient road to godhood has been opened. I guess fellow Taoist Ning has already embarked on a new journey, and it's time for me to return to the divine domain, he murmured. At this moment, the power of the heavenly Tao's divine punishment appeared in the sky above the quiet sea domain. It's really timely. I've just recovered my strength, and the heavenly Tao has already come to expel me? Fine. He sighed and stepped into the void as the heavenly Tao wished. The entire 9 mysterious heavens, 9 domains, had undergone various changes due to the opening of the ancient road to godhood. However, Ning Tian was unaware of all this. The ancient road to godhood. It was pitch black all around. An ancient road formed by endless bluestone steps spread out. All the cultivators, including Ning Tian and the others, were gathered here. Confusion and doubt were the portrayal of their hearts at this moment. Is this the ancient road to godhood? Ning Tian looked around. It was pitch black all around, like an endless void. Could the end of the ancient road be the final battlefield? At the side, the girls did not say anything, but looked around vigilantly with cold eyes. There were at least a few thousand cultivators who had stepped onto the ancient road to godhood. Although these few thousand cultivators did not seem to be a lot, they were not small fries. At the very least, they were first tribulation great sovereigns. This was a battle between several thousand great sovereigns. An epic battle between great sovereigns. Boom! All of a sudden, the ancient road shook, and a wave of heavenly Tao's pressure came. The heavenly Tao's phantom appeared in the pitch-black surroundings of the ancient road once again. That oppressive voice resounded, "Becoming a god has always been the original intention of mysterious heaven's realm cultivators. Since everyone is here, please give it your all." And this time, the rules of the ancient road to godhood, all the great sovereigns looked over. The rules are very simple. I will send you to the heavenly spirit world. That will be your battlefield. At the center of the heavenly spirit world, there is a Tao fruit tree. Whoever obtains the Tao fruit tree will become a god. But you must know that the Tao fruit is limited. The voice of the heavenly Tao's phantom slowly faded away. In an instant, on the ancient road, all the cultivators instantly understood something. Perhaps there was no need to fight. Whoever reached the center of the heavenly spirit world first and obtained the Tao fruit would become a god. No killing? Among the group of cultivators, Ning Tian frowned slightly. He vaguely felt that something was wrong. The heavenly Tao's original intention was definitely not to allow more people to become a god. Because the Tao fruit was limited, there were only so many guides to become a god. No matter how many people there were only a few who were qualified to become a god. Many people, it was just for killing. By the way, there is also a limit to getting close to the Tao fruit tree. The number of heads on the heavenly spirit plate is 100. You can only get close to it. The voice of the heavenly Tao's phantom sounded leisurely. It really came. A glint flashed in Ning Tian's eyes. His guess seemed to be correct. What? 100 heads? Doesn't that mean we have to kill 100 people? As soon as the words came out, the surrounding cultivators panicked. Suddenly they regretted it. They shouldn't have stepped into this muddy water. But there was no way out. At the same time, everyone's waist flashed with a ray of light. Taking a closer look, it was the heavenly spirit plate mentioned by the heavenly Tao's phantom. All right. The ancient road to godhood has opened. Attaining the Tao and becoming a god is a narrow escape. I will teleport you one by one. Everyone's location will be different. You will all head to the heavenly spirit world. As the voice of the heavenly Tao's phantom faded away, the surrounding cultivators were stunned for a moment before they were teleported one after another. They couldn't even be together at the beginning? They could only act alone? Hearing this, Ning Tian frowned. The light of the teleportation was about to illuminate the group. If they were separated, there would be a lot of worries and trouble. What should they do? The will of the heavenly Tao was something that the girls couldn't resist. Got it. At the last moment, Ning Tian seemed to have thought of something. At the same time, the light of the teleportation shrouded the group. Chapter 491. Heavenly Spirit World. Vast and boundless, it looked peaceful, but it was full of murderous intent. In order to obtain the Tao fruit and the guide to godhood, not only must one find the Tao fruit tree, but more importantly, one must gather 100 heads and kill them all. Heavenly Spirit World in an abyss. Don't kill me, big brother, don't kill me. A young girl in a short skirt was lying on the ground. There were bloodstains on her white and tender thighs. Her chest was heaving up and down. Her cute face was filled with panic and tears. She was indeed a child with a huge chest. At this moment, she was looking at the people in front of her in fear. Her tearful face was really pitiful. But the black-robed young man in front of her didn't move at all. There was a trace of indifference in his eyes, which made her panic a little. He was different from the people she had met before. "Big brother, don't kill Ugh." Before she could finish her words, a fierce flame appeared in front of her. It was a sword intent, a sword burning with scarlet flames. By the time she reacted, the flame had already torn her life away. "The 30th Great Emperor," the black-robed young man murmured, and raised his head slightly, revealing his handsome face. It was Ning Tian. With the merciless hunter talent, hunting became very easy. "There are still 470 left," he murmured and shone the heavenly spirit tablet at the girl's body. The number on his tablet changed from 7 to 8. I didn't expect this seemingly weak girl to kill 7 great emperors alone." Su Yueyao chuckled. Her beautiful eyes fell on the heavenly spirit tablet on the girl's body. It clearly showed the number 7. It looked soft, but it wasn't. Ning Tian looked at the girl's body and said indifferently, "It's a pity that we can't take the head count. Let's go. Don't let others take the initiative. If we can't get the head count, then all our efforts will be in vain." Attaining the Tao and becoming a deity was a narrow escape. Either you step on other people's bodies or they step on your body. Pity. You will only become a ghost under the blade of others. If she had sympathized with him just now, the sharp blade in the girl's arms would have stabbed him without hesitation. "Let's go," Ning Tian said. A red light flashed in his eyes, and Ruthless Hunter was activated again. Soon, he looked at the side of the valley, and the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. He muttered, "The mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. Found the prey. Let's go." As soon as he said that, his black robes fluttered, and the group disappeared into the phantom. Ghost Shadow has been activated. The other great emperors might still be lost in the heavenly spirit world, but Ning Tian's group had already begun their hunt. Haha, these great emperors of the firmament territory don't seem that strong. Within a dark valley, a few Motherf *King monarchs of the demon race were looking at the corpse of the Motherf *King human king on the ground and sniggering out. Not only are these martial monarchs only average in strength, their intelligence doesn't seem to be much either. Ha ha ha, you're not as smart as us 5 brothers. The Motherf *King monarchs laughed maniacally. They came from the ancient wilderness territory. Although they were separated by the heavenly aura, they were not in a hurry to kill. Instead, they regrouped with their teammates through their senses. Wouldn't it be easier to kill them by outnumbering them? Could it be that they would be killed in a 5-on-1 fight? Haha. This will be the 3rd one we've killed. Let's work harder, let's work harder. The 5 Motherf *King monarchs laughed. You guys seem to be very elegant? At this moment, a hearty laugh came from behind them. Who's there? The 5 Motherf *King monarchs' expressions changed. They turned around and saw a black-robed young man standing behind them with a smile on his face. He was looking at them with a kind face. When did this kid show up? The 5 Motherf *King monarchs frowned at the black-robed young man. But soon, they frowned and sneered. A First Tribulation Great Emperor? A mere First Tribulation Great Emperor dares to seek death? Ridiculous. Courting death. When they sensed that Ning Tian's aura was only a First Tribulation Great Emperor, the 5 Motherf *King monarchs heaved a sigh of relief. The 5 of them were 3rd stage Great Emperors. What was there to fear when facing a First Tribulation Great Emperor? They could sense Ning Tian's aura because Ning Tian had dispersed the chaotic aura. Only then could they let down their guard. According to the 5 Motherf *King monarchs, could it be that 5 of them would be killed in a 1-on-1 fight? Ridiculous. Are you done talking? Ning Tian looked at them with a smile. There's something wrong with this kid. Although Ning Tian's smile was kind, it sent chills down their spines. The 5 demon race great sovereigns' faces changed and became serious. The leader D said in a low voice, "Although this brat is only a first tribulation great sovereign, he didn't run when facing the 5 of us. He might be up to something. Be careful. If there's anything wrong, run." The other 4 nodded. Something's not right. Where's that kid? Suddenly, the 5 of them came to their senses. Ning Tian had vanished without a trace. 3rd stage Great Emperor? He's just SOSO. At this moment, a contemptuous voice rang in their ears. When the 5 of them turned around, they saw that the black-robed young man had appeared beside them like a ghost. The smile on his face disappeared and his eyes turned cold. "Quick, go!" The 5 of them turned pale and their demonic aura flowed out. However, when their eyes met with Ning Tian's, there was a trace of black light in his eyes. "Death," Ning Tian murmured and waved his hand in front of the 5 Motherf * king monarchs. The vitality in their eyes dissipated at this moment. What? Boom! The 5 Motherf * king monarchs turned into lifeless corpses. If it weren't for the fact that they couldn't use spirit restraint and dispatch generals, Ning Tian would have a few more helpers. What a pity! 3 tribulations great emperors are just SOSO, Ning Tian said indifferently. It wasn't that the 5 Motherf * king monarchs were weak, but he was too strong. Under open firepower, the Edict of Death was strengthened. If he wanted 3 tribulations great emperors to die, he could kill them with just a word. The cicadas have been collected. Then, there are only a few mantises left. Ning Tian was not in a hurry to collect the heavenly spirit tablet. Instead, he looked behind him and smiled. "Honey, let's do it." Not far behind him, the demonic figures who were hiding changed their expressions. They wanted to attack the 5 Motherf * king monarchs, but before they could, Ning Tian had beaten them to it. In fact, they had even discovered traces of them. When they wanted to escape, 3 powerful auras came crashing down on them. The mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the aureole behind. Ning Tian was not the mantis but the aureole. However, he wanted both the cicadas and the mantises. Chapter 492. Oh no, that kid found us. Retreat, he is definitely more than a first tribulation great emperor. That kid is too strange. Not far away, a panicked demonic voice sounded. Then, a few demonic shadows flew out. They were the demonic great emperors of the Blood Devil region. Initially, they had their eyes on the demon race great emperors. However, a first tribulation great emperor of the human race took the initiative. The most ridiculous thing was that he killed 5 third tribulation great emperors in seconds. Damn it! 5 great emperors were killed by one person. Do you know how to play? What a bunch of trash! They have cultivated for nothing. If it were me, I would definitely kill this kid. The demonic great emperor cursed inwardly. His body shot backward. Although he was cursing, his running speed was top-notch. Boom! Right at this moment, 3 beautiful figures suddenly appeared out of nowhere. That terrifying demigod aura instantly shrouded the 3 demonic great emperors of the Blood Devil region. 3 demigods? The demonic great emperor's expressions changed drastically. Were demigod experts so worthless? 3 of them appeared as soon as they appeared? I remember this kid. He is that kid who went through the Emperor Calamity at the last minute. He seems to be the great emperor of the Heavenly Spirit region. Those 3 demigod realm women seem to be his wives. One of the demonic great emperors of the Blood Devil region seemed to have thought of something and lost his voice. Bai Lu said, "I am not. ********. 3 demigod wives? Damn it. I am not convinced." One of them gritted his teeth with bloodshot eyes. It could be said that he was envious and jealous. Not to mention that he had 3 wives, each of them was at the demigod realm. Not only were they at the demigod realm, but they were also unrivaled beauties. This kid, did he save the Tianxian land in his previous life? Hold it in if you are not convinced. Hurry up and run. Where is your horse if you are not convinced? The leader of the demonic great emperors swore. Looking at the 3 approaching women, he gritted his teeth and said, "Use the blood art. We must run." Okay. The demonic great emperors nodded heavily. Without hesitation, the blood chi on their bodies became dense. Instantly they turned into blood mist. Then, their bodies disappeared, leaving the ground was covered in demonic blood. "You're quite good at running." Ning Tian took a step forward and stretched his body. His face was calm. Red light flashed in his eyes. It was as if there were 3 blood-red lines in the air guiding him. A purple light flashed in his hand, and he waved it gently on the 3 girls. "One in the east, one in the west, and one in the south," Ning Tian said casually. How could the prey that he had set his eyes on escape? Yes. Luo Wuqing and the other 2 nodded slightly. They wanted to use Ning Tian's ghostly shadow to perform a space jump, but before they could move, Ning Tian's voice sounded again, "Don't kill them yet, I have a great use for them." "All right," the 3 women said. In the next moment, a trace of purple light circulated around her delicate body, and she instantly disappeared. A few seconds later, bang, bang bang, pooh. With a muffled sound, the 3 demon great emperors who were covered in blood fell heavily to the ground. Their eyes were filled with deep shock, and they looked at Luo Wuqing and the other 2 women in confusion. Clearly, the heavenly spirit world didn't allow the use of void energy, so how could they use it? Moreover, they used the demon race's blood arts to cut off all traces of aura. Even if they were facing a demigod expert, they would definitely be able to escape. However, the 3 women seemed to know their exact location. This was very strange. Could it be that they could see through things? Looking at the 3 demon great emperors who were still in shock, Ning Tian didn't waste any time talking nonsense. His eyes were cold, and a black light flashed in his hand. It was the Buddha demon tower that hadn't appeared for a long time. What a strong demonic aura! The 3 demon great emperors trembled as they looked at the demonic tower in Ning Tian's hand. The terrifying demonic aura made them wonder if they were still demons. The density of demonic aura couldn't compare to a tower? You have shocked the demon great emperors. Demons who die in the hands of the host will be absorbed by the Buddha demon tower faster. Ning Tian paused for a moment, then the corner of his mouth lifted. He looked at the 3 demon great emperors playfully. "Congratulations, your shock has successfully killed you." This was the legendary, "Killing myself?" What? Hearing this, the 3 demon great emperors were taken aback. They looked at Ning Tian in confusion, but all they saw was a flash of darkness. The demonic tower came crashing down and pressed them under the tower. As if sensing the demonic aura, the Buddha demon tower shone brightly and greedily swallowed the 3 demon great emperors. In just a few seconds, the Buddha demon tower's black light dissipated, and the demonic aura returned to the tower. The 3 demon race great emperors that had been suppressed under the pagoda had turned into dried corpses. The demonic aura and demonic blood of a great emperor are much stronger than those small fries. The seal on the 2nd floor of the Buddha demon tower has also loosened. Then what is the seal on the 2nd floor? Ning Tian had been observing the Buddha demon tower's movements, but the 2nd floor of the Buddha demon tower seemed to have changed after absorbing the demonic blood and demonic aura. Just as well, there should be many demon great emperors in the heavenly soul world. It shouldn't be a problem if I help the demon race clean up the weak, right? Perhaps the demon race should thank me properly. After all, if they can't even defeat a one-tribulation great emperor like me, what are they if not weak? Ning Tian's lips curled. He had already made up his mind. After that, He asked the women to use their heavenly spirit tokens to record the number of people. Very soon, their heavenly spirit tokens changed. With my husband here, why do I feel that the ancient road to godhood isn't that difficult? Sui Weiyao giggled. Luo Wuqing and Bai Lu nodded in agreement. They didn't need to do anything. All they needed to do was to help Ning Tian kill a few people and follow Ning Tian. This feeling made it seem as if the ancient road to the gods was Ning Tian's personal stage. Husband, are you the illegitimate child of the heavenly Tao? Sui Weiyao looked at Ning Tian teasingly. That's impossible. The heavenly Tao isn't worthy. Ning Tian chuckled and shook his head. This wasn't his stage. He was just a hunter. Unfortunately, the great emperors of the heavenly soul world were just his prey. All right. Let's continue, Ning Tian said. Red light flashed in his eyes as he used Merciless Hunter again. Within 10,000 meters, he quickly locked onto a new target. Since he was using a cheat, he might as well use it all the way to the end. Just as the group was about to move, on the side, the ceiling flame Lion King seemed to have noticed something. He couldn't help but let out a panicked roar. Roar. Sha Tian, what's wrong? The group looked over in confusion. Roar, look. The ceiling flame Lion King pointed at a spot on the ground. The group looked over and frowned. This is? Chapter 493. The Lion King's little paw was pointing at where the corpses of the demon race's great emperors were. At this moment, a strange scene appeared. There seemed to be a mouth on the ground, and it was swallowing the 3 corpses. Minced meat splattered everywhere. Just looking at it made one's hair stand on end. It was very strange and terrifying. In the blink of an eye, only 2 corpses of the demon race's great emperors were left. What is this? Seeing this scene, Ning Tian frowned slightly. A trace of confusion flashed in his eyes. The next moment, a stream of spiritual energy shot out from his hand and blasted towards the ground. He wanted to interrupt the devouring process. However, when Ning Tian's attack landed, it did not have any effect. The 3 women at the side also used their demigod's aura at the same time. However, the result was the same. There was no effect. Even the demigod's aura did not work? Could it be the heavenly Tao's aura is secretly protecting it? Seeing this, Ning Tian frowned even more. He had a vague guess in his heart. When the last demon race's corpse was about to be devoured, he suddenly had an idea. The next moment, a wisp of his aura shot out from the tip of his finger and left it on the demon race's corpse. At the same time, the last demon race's corpse dissipated. The ground healed, as if nothing had happened. As expected, seeing this, Ning Tian's eyes flashed with a bright light. Spiritual energy was ineffective. The demigod's aura was ineffective. However, his aura could pass through easily. This could only mean that there was the heavenly Tao's aura. Husband, what was that just now? Luo Wuqing frowned. They saw the scene clearly. How could the corpses be swallowed by the ground? Moreover, even they could not stop it. The heavenly Tao's aura. I can only say that there was the heavenly Tao's aura. I don't know anything else. Ning Tian shook his head slightly. Looking not far away, the 5 demon race's great emperor's corpses had also disappeared into thin air. It was obvious that they were also swallowed by this strange ground. This heavenly spirit world, this ancient road to godhood, the heavenly Tao is getting stranger and stranger, Ning Tian murmured, his brows furrowed tightly. He felt more and more like they were trapped in a web of conspiracy. The great emperors in the heavenly spirit world could only sit and wait for their death. However, sitting and waiting for death was not his usual style. Although he did not know exactly what had happened, the aura he had emitted earlier was not a probing attack. It was more of a marking. Let's go. It seems like the heavenly spirit world isn't peaceful either. Anyway, we should be careful, Ning Tian said slowly as he led the group towards the next prey. Heavenly soul world. 5 days and nights had passed. In these 5 days, the emperors who entered the heavenly spirit world had either adapted or become a number on the heavenly spirit tablet. More and more emperors began to understand the reality. Although they were very strong, there were many people who were stronger than them. Many great emperors started to form groups. However, their goal was no longer to hunt but to protect themselves. On the 5th day, a violent roar startled everyone. The ground of the heavenly spirit world trembled as the heavenly Tao's aura reappeared. A 10,000-meter tall stone tablet rose from the ground. On the stone tablet were the names of all the strong cultivators and their heavenly spirit tablet levels. This was public information. When everyone looked at it, their pupils shrank in shock. Because those few names on the stone tablet were really shocking and striking, and it caused all the experts to be extremely shocked. It was as if 1,000 waves had surged within their hearts, and they were unable to calm down for a long time. First, Heavenly Spirit Regions 1 Tribulation Great Emperor Ning Tian, Heavenly Soul Levels 139, surpassing because Sha Tian was included. Second, Heavenly Spirit Regions Demigod Luo Wuching, Heavenly Soul Levels 79. Third, Heavenly Spirit Regions Demigod Su Yueyao, Heavenly Soul Levels 76. Fourth, Heavenly Spirit Regions Demigod Bai Lu, Heavenly Soul Levels 74. The strong cultivators from the 9 regions were stunned. They looked up at the stone tablet in disbelief. The top names were too dazzling. It had only been a few days? These 4 people's heavenly soul levels had reached such a terrifying level? In total, they had 368 heavenly soul levels. In other words, they had killed a total of 368 great emperors. There might even be a demigod among them. 368 heavenly soul levels. Let alone killing 368 people, they hadn't even seen 368 people. The heavenly spirit world was not a small region. It was vast and boundless. It was difficult for great emperors to even meet each other, let alone kill each other. Fifth was a cultivator from the northern frosty region, but he only had 20 heavenly soul levels. The gap between 4th and 5th was widened. Most importantly, the 4 of them were from the same region, and the strength of the first place was only a 1 tribulation great emperor, and his heavenly soul levels had exceeded 100, but he was still killing. Could it be, this Ning Tian had become a bloodthirsty person? At this moment, the heavenly spirit world was completely silent. All the strong cultivators were silent. Some of them swallowed hard, feeling that their brains were not enough. Many of Ning Tian's old acquaintances shook their heads helplessly. The ancestral master's light was already very bright in the heavenly spirit region and firmament territory. After entering the heavenly spirit world, the ancestral master was no longer a human. He started killing. His light shone over the entire heavenly spirit world. All the great emperors from the 9 regions knew that this man was invincible. Even though he was a 1 tribulation great emperor, he was not afraid of a demigod. Many people had already called Ning Tian the black god of death. When the black robe swept past, death was certain. Heavenly spirit world, on a grassland on a cliff. Ning Tian was lying on the grassland, resting his head on Su Yueyao's legs. He looked relaxed and comfortable. His little wife was tickling him with her foxtail. The atmosphere was very harmonious. The cultivators from the 9 regions in the heavenly spirit world would never have imagined that the black god of death, who was feared by them, was actually enjoying himself at this moment. Of course, it was not Ning Tian's fault. After all the great emperors in this area had been wiped out by them. It was time to change the location. And on the way to change the location, it shouldn't be too much for him to rest a little, right? After all, killing was very tiring. 5th place, Demigod Su Li of the northern frosty region. Not bad. To be able to kill 20 in 5 days. Not bad. Ning Tian rested his head on Su Yueyao's thighs and looked at the stone tablet that pierced into the clouds. He glanced at it and shrugged. If Su Li heard this, he would definitely roll his eyes at Ning Tian. King killed more than 300 people in 5 days, and you're praising me for killing 20? Thank you so much. Husband, what do you want to do now? On the side, Luo Wuqing and Bai Lu were sitting on the grassland. The former looked over and asked. Chapter 494. Ning Tian was silent. He just lay on Su Yueyao's legs and looked at the stone stele in the sky. Most of the people on the stone stele had a heaven soul spell between 1 and 0. Except for a few people, most cultivators had 0 heavenly soul art. Looking at it this way, it could be estimated how many cultivators were left in the heavenly soul world. Around 2,000. There are more than 2,000 cultivators in the heavenly soul world. It seems that the 9 tribulation great emperors and demigods are not strong enough. There are still so many of them. Ning Tian said faintly. He then moved his furry foxtail and got up from Su Yueyao's legs. Let's go. It's time to find a new target. Ning Tian stretched lazily with a satisfied look on her face. Okay. The girls also stood up from the grass. Su Yueyao's body shimmered with light as she withdrew from her fox demon form. The Lion King eagerly followed behind her. It had been well behaved along the way and didn't destroy anything. After all, the words, lion meat hot pot, made it very obedient. Then the group moved. Ning Tian directly used the phantom shadow, and took the 3 girls and 1 lion with him, and made a small space jump. They didn't need to hurry at all. After all, they could do whatever they wanted. In the entire heavenly soul world, other great emperors couldn't wait to hide. However, Ning Tian and the others were different. They were openly looking for people to kill. After a while, after a few space jumps. Oh! It seems that I saw a few familiar faces. Ning Tian's eyes flashed red. The merciless hunter, as senses had locked onto some familiar auras. There seemed to be a few uninvited guests beside these familiar auras. Someone is here to deliver their heads. Let's go and collect the heads, Ning Tian said casually. Then, she disappeared with the girls in a flash. In an unknown valley, there were white bones everywhere. The bones were strange, and they weren't human bones. There was a trace of demigod's aura in the valley. 2 figures were in a sorry state. Phew! Brother Emperor, I really did not expect that as demigods, we would become the prey of others. The empty god Emperor let out a long sigh of relief and looked at Di Wuji, who was beside him, who was also in a sorry state. Their auras were a little chaotic, and injuries could be seen all over their bodies. Obviously, they had just experienced a great battle. Di Wuji was silent. His brows were tightly knitted as he looked ahead with a grave expression. In front of the 2 of them, 5 figures stood with their hands behind their back. Each of them had an extraordinary aura. 2 9 tribulations great emperors and 3 demigods. His gaze was fixed on the young man in the middle. The feeling this young man gave him, very strong, extremely powerful. Even if he was unwilling to accept it, he had no choice but to admit that this young man was powerful. On the young man's heavenly spirit token, there was only one number, 20. It was obvious that this young man was Su Li, a cultivator from the northern frosty region who was ranked below the ancestral master. Be careful, this Su Li is very strong. He might be someone who is only slightly weaker than our ancestral master on the ancient road to godhood. Di Wuji said to the empty god realm emperor beside him. Huh! Hearing this, the empty god realm emperor was stunned. He frowned and looked at Di Wuji. Are you serious? This guy is strong, but how can he be compared to our ancestral master? As the one who had been tricked by the ancestral master the most, old Su naturally had the right to speak. This Su Li will definitely be played to death by our ancestral master. He rolled his eyes at Di Wuji. The old emperor must be dreaming if he said that. How could he be compared to the ancestral master? How could this Su Li be compared to him? Di Wuji, you must have been tricked by our ancestral master more than a few times. If you have been tricked by our ancestral master many times, you will know how powerful our ancestral master is. He can easily play you to death. Hearing this, Di Wuji frowned slightly but did not say anything. If I kill you, my heavenly spirit token will be 22. Su Li, the demigod from the northern frosty region, looked coldly at Di Wuji and old Su as if he was looking at prey. However, even if he could kill the two of them, he would not be happy. As the strongest demigod from the northern frosty region who had entered the ancient road to godhood, he was suppressed by 4 people. Even if he wanted to surpass them, it would be useless. He felt deeply helpless. Even if he was strong, the heavenly spirit world was too big. He had strength, but he could not find anyone at all. Su Li looked at the stone tablet and sighed deeply. There were more than 300 people in the top 4. He was very depressed and puzzled. How did these guys find them? Forget it. Let's get rid of the 2 of you first. Although demigods are a little tricky, it's not easy to meet you. I can't let you go so easily. A cold light flashed in Su Li's eyes. Then, he looked at the few people beside him and shouted. Do it. Yes, Almighty Su. The 5 of them attacked together, shooting over explosively. The surrounding white bones all over the ground were crushed into a cloud of white dust. Fellow Void God, let's attack together. Seeing Su Li and the other 4 rushing over, Di Wuji's expression turned serious. The aura of a demigod flowed out of his body quietly as he spoke to the Void God Emperor. Wait, the Void God Emperor waved his hand and said seriously, I have a killer weapon. Killer weapon? Di Wuji was stunned for a moment. His eyes were filled with anticipation. Yes. Let me think. What will the ancestral master do? Old Su looked serious. Di Wuji was silent for a moment. The corner of his mouth twitched and his expression twitched. He gritted his teeth and cursed for the first time in his life. F***ck. We are about to die. What are you thinking about? Are these 2 guys really demigods? Why does she look like a cute, silly girl? Forget it. Let's take them down first. Su Li looked at the 2 of them and frowned. However, a cold light flashed in his eyes. Without any hesitation, he raised his hand and slashed down. He would kill them first to prevent any accidents. Boom. At this moment, a voice was heard. I just heard that someone is thinking about me? As soon as the voice was heard, the space beside Su Li fluctuated. Then, a leg stretched out and kicked Su Li. In an instant, Su Li's entire body seemed to have suffered a violent blow as he was thrown out. The owner of the foot also appeared out of thin air, holding an apple in his hand and looking at them with a benevolent expression. Ancestral Master. Looking at the young man who suddenly appeared with an apple in his hand and a smile on his face, Di Wuji's eyes lit up. Think about what the Ancestral Master will do. Isn't he here now? Old Su said quietly from the side. Di Wuji's mouth twitched. This works too? Damn it, not far away, Su Li got up from the ground and glared at Ning Tian. Who are you? These 2 people are my prey. Me? Ning Tian took a bite of the apple and sneered. Although I don't like this title, the great emperor of the heavenly spirit world seems to call me. What about the black god of death? Author's words. After writing for an entire night, I can't take it anymore. I'm going to sleep. Chapter 495. Black-clothed Grim Reaper? Hearing that, Su Li's expression shook. His face immediately stiffened and he gritted his teeth. His 4 followers behind him were all rather flustered as they stared at Ning Tian in fear. You are the black-clothed Grim Reaper? Su Li stared at Ning Tian. At this moment, he actually felt inferior. He was known as the most handsome young master in the Beihan region. However, compared to Ning Tian, he felt inferior. Regardless of strength, just the temperament and appearance of this young man who was biting an apple in front of him crushed him by a large margin. This made him very unhappy. You shocked Su Li handsome +1. Along with Su Li's shock, the system's voice rang in his mind. Ning Tian, I am already very handsome. I don't need to be more handsome. Anyway, there is no one more handsome than me in the Tianxian world. Sigh. This Su Li is really useless. Only by shocking him did he get a useless thing. Ning Tian sighed and looked at Su Li as if he expected better from him. There was a hint of helplessness in his eyes. Su Li was dumbfounded. What did I do? When this brat's gaze landed on him, he felt as if he had committed a heinous crime. No, why do I feel that this kid has become more handsome? Su Li's face was serious as a cold light flashed in his eyes. At this moment, his 4 followers from the Beihan region also approached him. This black-clothed young man in front of him was the #1 heavenly soul, the black-clothed Grim Reaper. He had to be careful. Tell me the truth. I don't really like the name Black-Clothed Grim Reaper. It's too silly. Ning Tian finished the apple in his hand and casually threw away the core. He looked at Su Li and the rest helplessly. Your naming skills are too lousy. Can't you name it as the Black-Clothed Grim Reaper? Su Li, the old emperor and old Su, speaking of which, ancestral master, Black-Clothed Grim Reaper and Black-Clothed Grim Reaper, isn't it just one more word? Old Su asked seriously. That's different. I'm older. Ning Tian waved his hand and said casually. Ancestral master, I suspect that you're playing around. The faces of the old emperor and old Su darkened. Ning Tian, what are you suspecting? Can't you be more confident? The reason you guys aren't as strong as me is because you guys aren't confident enough. Seeing Ning Tian directly ignore him, the corner of Su Li's mouth twitched. His expression was somewhat ugly as he heavily snorted. Black-clothed Grim Reaper, do you have any respect for me? Oh no. Ning Tian gave an oh and looked at Su Li as if he was looking at an idiot. He indifferently said, in the eyes of a man, you might have some problems. You can't be gay, right? You. Looking at Ning Tian, Su Li was a little flustered and exasperated. He did not know why he had such emotional fluctuations. Perhaps it was because this young man in front of him clearly had a handsome face, but when he smiled, it was a cheap smile. Just looking at it made him angry. He could not control himself. Looking at the current situation, he should be anxious. At the side, old Su silently analyzed. As the person who had been tricked the most, his observation of emotions could be said to be on point. Su Li took a deep breath and forced himself to calm down. He looked at Ning Tian, the old emperor and old Su. Although the other party had 3 people, they also had 3 demigods. Even if he was the strongest, he might not be able to resist them. Perhaps, this fellow is just lucky to have met a few more people. He coldly snorted in his heart. As for the empty god emperor and Di Wuji, he had completely ignored them. After all, the 2 of them were injured and could not use much strength. Black-clothed Grim Reaper, Su Li raised his eyes and looked coldly at Ning Tian. He indifferently said, cut the crap. Let's just. Before he could finish the word let's fight, Su Li's words came to an abrupt halt. His pupils suddenly shrank, and his expression became a little nervous. Cold sweat unconsciously appeared on his forehead. What did you just say? Let's fight what? Ning Tian looked at Su Li with a playful smile. At some point in time, 3 beautiful figures had appeared behind him. Gulp. Su Li swallowed his saliva, and his smile became a little stiff. He was going crazy in his heart. When did these 3 women appear? These 3 women must be the top 4 of the heavenly soul realm. Cough. No, nothing. Su Li shook his head and took a deep breath. I think I shouldn't be Daoist Ning's opponent. Well, I have something to do. We will leave first. After that, without hesitation, he turned around and ran with his followers. What kind of joke was this? If he didn't run when he knew that he couldn't win, what was the difference between that and giving his head away? He was not stupid. Boom. In an instant, the 5 of them ran wildly. This demigod expert was indeed different. When they ran, it was as if the soles of their feet were smeared with oil. In the blink of an eye, they had run hundreds of meters away. If it wasn't for the existence of the heavenly soul realm's heavenly Tao, they would have been far faster. Phew, although that kid is a one tribulation great emperor, this is definitely just his strength on the surface. As Su Li ran wildly, he made up his mind. In the future, wherever the black god of death was, there would be no Su Li. If he saw him, he would run. Although Ning Tian was only a one tribulation great emperor, he gave him a lot of pressure. After all, anyone with a brain would know that if that brat wasn't strong, how could he have 3 demigod women following him? Could it be that he was living off them? How could this be possible? Furthermore, if he was not strong, how could those 2 demigods be so respectful to him? At this moment, Su Li was enlightened. Humph, I am so smart. I managed to survive. He smiled coldly. Did I say you could leave? At this moment, that mocking voice seemed to be ringing in his ears. Su Li was stunned for a moment and suddenly turned around. That black god of death did not chase after him? Then this voice? Suddenly, his body stiffened, and so did the 4 followers beside him. Everything seemed to have stopped. No, not everything, but their time had stopped? At this moment, in Su Li's eyes, he saw Ning Tian raise his hand and there was a flash of golden light. The beautiful and cold woman beside him also raised her hand. The golden light was dazzling, and the ticking of a clock seemed to be ringing in his ears. His eyes instantly became dull, and his heart turned cold. He could not help but murmur in his heart, "The law of time? And both of them have mastered it at the same time? How is this possible?" In an instant, a purple light circulated. Ning Tian, who was hundreds of meters away, directly stepped out of the void. He took out an apple in his hand and took a bite, looking at Su Li with a smile. "You want to escape when you have already caught your prey?" As soon as his voice died away, Ning Tian kicked Su Li's body again and directly kicked them back. Chapter 496. Bang! With a loud thud, Su Li and the other 4 fell to the ground heavily. It was the familiar position again. The high and mighty demigod of the Beihan region was now being kicked around by Ning Tian like a ball. Phew, these people are quite strong. My wife and I have to use the law of time at the same time to stop them. It seems that it's time for me to find a time to break through. Ning Tian flashed back again and looked at Luo Wuqing. The golden light of the law of time on their hands slowly dissipated. To Ning Tian, the Emperor Tribulation was just a small matter. Just like before, if he wanted to become a 9 Tribulations Great Emperor, he would only need to waste some time to pass the Emperor Tribulation. But the Emperor Tribulation was powerful. It was not the usual style of the ancestral master to waste it like this. It would be a pity if he did not use the Emperor Tribulation to trick people. Cough, this kid is so strong. Su Li got up from the ground and wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. He looked at the 2 great emperors and the 9 Tribulations Great Emperor beside him, but strangely found that their injuries were not as serious as his. He frowned and was puzzled. His own defense was definitely above those of his 4 subordinates. They did not vomit blood, but he did? Could it be that this kid was targeting him? What a despicable kid! Su Li's eyes turned cold, and killing intent appeared on his face. According to the current situation, he could not run away. Since he could not run away, he could only fight. However, he had really wronged Ning Tian. It was not that Ning Tian was targeting him, but because of the open fire. The power of the open fire was doubled when a lower cultivation level attacked a higher cultivation level. In other words, the stronger Su Li was, the more excited Ning Tian would be and the more powerful he would be. Husband, should we deal with them? Luo Wuqing looked at Ning Tian and asked. Her pretty face was full of coldness. She looked at Su Li and the others indifferently, not taking them seriously at all. Well, I will deal with Su Li. My wife and the others will deal with these 4 followers. As for Bai Lu, you can just draw circles at the side. Ning Tian nodded slightly and assigned the target. The 2 women nodded, but Bai Lu was confused. In an instant, a powerful demigod aura emerged from the 2 women and pressed towards the 4 attendants. In an instant, the 4 attendants' expressions changed. Although there were demigods among the 4 attendants, but there was also a gap between demigods. Instantly, spiritual energy enveloped him. Along with Death Song's time freeze, a one-sided battle instantly broke out. He Shan and his wife are attacking again. At the side, old Su was trembling. These 2 women are so strong. He's definitely at the pinnacle of the demigod realm. Sensing the terror of the demigod's might, Su Li's expression turned grave. Looking at the amiable smile on Ning Tian's face, he could not help but feel a trace of pressure. He did not dare to underestimate Ning Tian. Not at all. But even so, he still fell into Ning Tian's trap. The stronger Su Li was, the stronger the effect of open fire would be. Host has gone all out. But when Su Li's demigod aura was activated, Ning Tian disappeared the moment the system's voice sounded in his mind. Only a purple light was left behind. He disappeared? How could this kid step into the void? The moment Ning Tian disappeared, Su Li's pupils shrank. What the hell was that? Wasn't the heavenly spirit world pressured by the heavenly Tao? If he could step into the void, he would have done it long ago. How could Ning Tian do it? F***ck, this cheater, doesn't the heavenly Tao care about him? Su Li cursed angrily. Then, with a serious expression, he focused 120%. His demigod aura surged out as he looked around vigilantly, keeping an eye out for Ning Tian who might appear from the void at any time. If he was guilty, please let the heavenly Tao punish him, not a cheater. Boom. Suddenly, a loud boom came from behind him. He's here. He turned around and punched out without hesitation. Ning Tian just happened to appear in the void. Boom. The punch landed. That's all you got? Su Li sneered. Ancestral Master? Diwuji was shocked. Ancestral Master was hit? Don't worry. That's the Ancestral Master. Can you understand that, man? Old Su sat cross-legged at the side and waved his hand calmly to recover from his injuries. Diwuji frowned and looked over. Then, his pupils shrank as if he had understood something. I almost forgot that the Ancestral Master still has that move, just as expected. When Su Li's mouth twitched, his expression didn't look right. His punch actually hit the air? After the demigod aura was destroyed, Ning Tian, who was hit by him, actually disappeared into thin air. It's indeed the Ancestral Master's clone? Diwuji's eyes were solemn. The fear from that day shrouded his heart again. A few months ago, the Ancestral Master unleashed countless clones at the Black Death Mountain. That kind of power could even destroy the main hall of the Black Death Mountain. You're still so proud after hitting my clone? Behind him, Ning Tian's hearty voice sounded. Then, his fist exploded. A sky demon fist landed heavily on Su Li's body. A strange force directly ignored his demigod defense. Puff? What? Su Li's pupils shrank and he spat out a mouthful of blood. When he turned around and wanted to counterattack, a purple light disappeared. Ning Tian escaped into the void again. Come on. Come and hit me. As Ning Tian's laughing voice rang out, The scene changed to Ning Tian using her ethereal doppelganger to distract Su Li. Then, she punched Su Li and disappeared into the void. That's right. He ran after hitting Su Li and didn't give Su Li a chance to retaliate. What a pity. This is still my clone. Boom. Boom boom. I don't believe that you can still. Puff. Bang bang bang. The sound of punches hitting flesh could be heard. Su Li had strength, but he could only passively take the beating. This was a humiliation to him because he was in the heavenly spirit world. This damned heavenly Tao's suppression restricted his ability to escape into the void. If it was any other time, even if Ning Tian escaped into the void, he would still be able to find him. But this was the heavenly spirit world. Seeing this scene, the old emperor and old Su looked at each other. This wasn't a battle at all. It was a one-sided game. This fighting style is just like the founder. The corner of Di Wuji's mouth twitched. Shameless. Got it? However, old Su had grown up a lot at this moment. That's right. If I can play you to death, why should I fight with you? F***ck. As expected of the founder, the empty god realm emperor widened his eyes. F***ck. Puff. Su Li spat out a mouthful of blood. His body was full of wounds. His handsome face had turned into a pig's head. He was very depressed. He clearly had the demigod's might, but he couldn't defend against Ning Tian's attack at all. And all of this was the effect of open fire. The power was doubled. It could ignore the defense of those with higher cultivation. Shameless. What's the point of sneak attacking? If you have the ability, fight me head-on. Su Li couldn't take it anymore and shouted. If this continued, he would really be played to death by this shameless guy. Old Su and the old emperor said, "Is he praising the founder?" Fight you. I'm not interested in that. However, I've played enough. You can die now. After a cold voice, Ning Tian appeared from the void. Finally you're out. Su Li sneered. He activated his demigod's might and was about to attack. However, he saw a flash of black light in the kid's eyes. A low shout came from his mouth. Little wife, die happy. Chapter 497. Hubby, here I come. A pleasant laughter that sounded like a silver bell rang out from the side. Su Li's expression changed slightly as he abruptly turned his head to take a look. He saw that his 4 followers had already turned into corpses and were lying at the side. Battle, it's over? These 2 women are so strong. Little wife, use death with me. Ning Tian's voice fell. Black light flashed across his eyes. At the same time, Su Yueyao spun the jade flute in her hand and gently blew it on her red lip. Clang. Boom. Death energy combined with death music instantly enveloped Su Li. It might be difficult for Ning Tian to kill Su Li with his current law of death. However, with Su Yueyao's death music, it was a completely different story. Su Li, who was already injured, couldn't resist at all. Death. Law of death. Su Li's body was shrouded in black energy. He could feel that his vitality was being stripped away, but there was nothing he could do. His eyes were filled with unwillingness as he stared at Ning Tian. Shameless. It was supposed to be a battle between the 2 of them, but he didn't even touch Ning Tian. Old Su said that the ancestor could play you to death. Why would he fight with his life on the line? Just when he thought he could finally have a good battle with Ning Tian, this bastard asked his wife to fight. Thank you for the compliment. Ning Tian narrowed his eyes and smiled. The law of death in his hand was activated and pressed down heavily on Su Li. Boom. Pfff. Su Li felt a heavy blow on his body. His heart suddenly shook and he coughed out a mouthful of blood. Hiss, what a strong control of the law of heaven and earth. Indeed, those with narrowed eyes are all monsters. Su Li looked at the smiling Ning Tian in front of him. His heart sank and he was shocked. You have shocked Su Li. Reward, Item strengthening. At this moment, the system's voice rang in his mind again. This time, Suli was shocked. Finally, something that seemed to be useful came. Not bad. I didn't expect you to be useful. Then you can die now. Ning Tian's lips curled into a smile as he coldly looked at Suli. Ning Tian's smile was kind, and his eyes were indifferent. The two were different, but at this moment, they appeared very natural on his face. Suli could clearly sense the flow of life. Life and death was only a matter of time. He was already dead without a doubt. In the face of certain death, he had to do something. This brat was just too infuriating. Suddenly, he seemed to think of something. You're just relying on women. What kind of ability is that? Face was something that all male cultivators cared about the most. Even if he died, he wanted to poke at Ning Tian's sore spot. It was a pity. His path seemed to have narrowed. How did you know? Ning Tian pretended to be surprised. The corner of his mouth lifted into a smile, then he sighed and looked at Suli. Sigh, my 2 wives are too strong, I can't do anything about it. They're beautiful, strong, and most importantly, they love me so much. Sigh, so annoying. But, halfway through, Ning Tian gave a harmless smile and looked at Suli as he asked in a very serious tone, I have a wife. Do you? Suli was stunned for a moment. Something seemed wrong. The plot didn't seem to develop this way. He should be angry from embarrassment. Why did he take pride in living off women? This shouldn't be. Damn, so damn shameless. Suli was dumbfounded. He felt that his worldview had collapsed. A mouthful of blood spurted out from his mouth as he stared at Ning Tian. This guy wasn't human. Forget about living off women, he even took pride in his shamelessness. Impeccably shameless? Suli rolled his eyes. The law of death instantly surged into his heart. His intense emotions instantly accelerated the corrosion of the law of death. I'm so angry. A demigod expert is just SOSO. This mentality isn't good either. Ning Tian kicked Suli's corpse and sighed. At the side, the old emperor and old Su were trembling. Ancestral master. Can you blame Suli for having a bad mentality? Can't you see that your shamelessness and his mentality are on the same level? Looking at the 5 corpses on the ground, Ning Tian quickly asked the women to collect their souls. Then, he attached a wisp of his aura to the corpses as usual. Phew, this way the number of souls increased a little. Ning Tian took a bite of the apple with satisfaction. Yes. Sui Weiyao giggled. By the way, little wife. Ning Tian seemed to have thought of something. He looked at Sui Weiyao and said seriously, why don't you change the flute to the swona next time when you perform the death music? It will be more appropriate. Swona? Sui Weiyao was stunned. She put her hand to her red lips and thought for a moment. Then, she nodded with a smile. Since my husband said so, I'll do it, haha, you and Bai Lu will form a team in the future. Ning Tian laughed. Team? Sui Weiyao and Bai Lu said at the same time. They looked at Ning Tian in confusion. The swona sends the souls away, and the bell suppresses the souls. What do you think? Ning Tian smiled as she looked at the 2 women and asked tentatively. Sui Weiyao rubbed her chin and nodded. Not bad. Bai Lu. Okay, yeah, for all, yeah. While the 3 of them were discussing the team, Luo Wuqing's gaze was fixed on the corpses on the ground. Unlike the 3 guys who were flirting, the first wife was absolutely focused. Husband, it's here again. Suddenly, she spoke softly and with a serious tone. When they heard this, Ning Tian and the others looked over. Sure enough, the scene that had always happened again. The corpse was being devoured. What's this? Lao Di and Lao Su walked over and saw this scene. Their expressions changed slightly. You didn't notice it before? Ning Tian looked at them. Lao Di and Lao Su, no. The 2 of you didn't kill anyone, did you? Ning Tian seemed to have thought of something. She looked at the two of them suspiciously. Ahem, the moment he said that, the two of them immediately blushed and coughed dryly. Their sneaky actions of hiding the Tianhun tablets at their waists instantly proved that Ning Tian's guess was correct. The two of them really hadn't killed a single one of them. Ancestral Master, you can't blame us for this, Di Wuji sighed helplessly. Then, he slowly explained the whole story. It turned out that when the Heavenly Law's silhouette forcibly moved them away, the two of them just so happened to land nearby. They were in a place called the Dragon Burial Valley. However, the Dragon Burial Valley was extremely strange. Even they were unable to find the way out. By the way, Ancestral Master, we came across a strange place in the Dragon Burial Valley. The Empty God Emperor seemed to have thought of something and looked at Ning Tian as he said, "Bring me there to take a look." Hearing this, Ning Tian raised his eyebrows slightly and then looked at the Empty God Emperor with a smile. The more he looked at Lao Su, the more he liked him. This guy seemed to be enlightened. Sure. But, Ancestral Master, can you not smile at me like that? I'm scared, Lao Su whispered. Ning Tian. Chapter 498. Old Su, tell me, I'm still short of a few heavenly souls. Do you want to sacrifice yourself for others? Ning Tian hooked his arm around the Empty God Emperor's neck and smirked. He patted the heavenly soul token on his waist. Old Su's body trembled and he almost cried out in fear. Ancestral Master, why don't you exchange it with Brother Emperor? He's easier to kill. Old Su said weakly. Di Wuji's face darkened. F***ck. The Empty God Emperor, who had just gone through thick and thin with him, sold him out in the next second. Haha. I'm just kidding. I'm such a kind person, right? Why would I harm the two of you? Ning Tian laughed and looked at the old Emperor and Old Su with a smile. His smile was as kind as it could be. Hearing this, the Empty God Emperor was even more afraid. It would be fine if the Ancestral Master did not say this. Now that he said this, it was over. Just as he was feeling afraid, he heard Di Wuji stroke his chin very seriously. He nodded and said, according to my understanding of the Ancestral Master, he is indeed a very kind person. Old Su was dumbfounded. Kind? Understanding? Emperor, you idiot. What do you understand? Let's go. Bring me to the Dragon Burial Valley that you mentioned. Ning Tian let go of the Empty God Emperor. In fact, he was just joking. It was just a few heavenly souls. At most, he could just kill a few emperors and demigods from other regions. The Empty God Emperor and Di Wuji were familiar with each other and had helped him a lot. There was no need to kill them to make up for the number of heavenly souls. Okay. Di Wuji nodded and took the lead to walk to the deepest part of the Dragon Burial Valley with the Empty God Emperor. Ning Tian followed slowly with the three women and a small lion. When Su Li, who was ranked 5th on the Heavenly Soul Stone Tablet, turned red, many cultivators were shocked. Even Su Li, who was ranked 5th, was killed? Who could be so powerful? When Su Li's name turned red, the numbers of the 1st and 4th Heavenly Souls jumped again. Many of the cultivators who were paying attention to the Heavenly Soul Stone Tablet fell silent. Their hearts trembled with fear. Needless to say, Su Li must have met the black-clothed Reaper and the others. For a moment, Ning Tian's name had spread across the entire heavenly spirit world, striking fear into the hearts of many great monarchs and demigods. Dragon Burial Valley, in the deepest part of White Bone. Ancestral Master, this is the place. Di Wuji pointed at the thick stone door in the White Bones and said to Ning Tian, no matter what method the Void God Emperor and I use to open this stone door, we cannot open it. All around him were white bones. There were some unknown skeletons. Stone door. Ning Tian walked over and rubbed his chin. He frowned as he looked at the heavy stone door in front of him. There was no need to think too much. Since the stone door was placed here, it must be to hide something. However, only by opening the stone door would they know what was inside. Hubby, there's demonic chi inside the stone door. At this moment, while everyone was thinking about how to open the stone door, Sui Weiao walked over and said slowly, "Demonic chi?" Ning Tian frowned. "Yes. It's a demonic chi seal. Perhaps I can use demonic chi to guide the stone door," Sui Weiao said and walked to the stone door with light step. Then, a stream of light flashed across her body. Her fox tail swayed and her fox ears twitched. She placed her hand on the stone door, and a trace of demonic chi began to circulate. Everyone present was watching her movements. After all, Sui Weiao was a half-demon. Among everyone present, she was the only one who could control demonic chi. They could only watch. When Sui Weiao placed her hand on the stone door, a trace of demonic chi flowed out and shone on the stone door. Soon, the stone door moved. Boom boom. The thick stone door made a sound. "It's about to open." Old Sue's eyes widened. "Yes, be careful," Ning Tian said cautiously. The others quietly circulated their demonic chi and prepared for battle. The Lion King was also ready to escape. The next moment, the stone door opened. After the dust dissipated, everyone saw the stone door clearly. "Wow. Inside the stone door is..." The group looked over with their eyes wide open. They looked expectant, but soon their mouths twitched. "Huh? Another stone door?" Ning Tian, his wife, Bai Lu, Ovo, Yueao continue. Ning Tian frowned. He could only let Sui Weiao continue. "Yes." Sui Weiao nodded slightly and continued to circulate demonic chi. Next boom. "It's open. It's another stone door." Boom, "It's another stone door." "Is this a set of dolls?" The group was speechless. The stone door was still a stone door. Sui Weiao opened 3 doors in a row, but they were all stone doors. "Honey, this?" Sui Weiao was a little confused. Looking at the heavy stone door in front of her, she hesitated whether to continue. Her beautiful eyes fell on Ning Tian, waiting for Ning Tian to give her a choice. "Let's continue." Ning Tian frowned and looked at the stone door in front of him. The weirder this stone door was, the more curious he was. He wanted to see what exactly was hidden behind the stone door to have so many layers of protection. "Yes, okay." Sui Weiao nodded. She didn't doubt Ning Tian's words. She circulated her demonic chi and placed her hand on the stone door again. But this time, under everyone's gaze, the stone door didn't move. Sui Weiao frowned slightly, puzzled. "Yueao, this level isn't demonic chi, but demonic chi. Let me open it." At the side, Luo Wuqing observed for a while, and came to this conclusion. She said indifferently and walked towards the stone door. "Okay." Sui Weiao nodded and obediently took a step back, but she didn't end her fox demon transformation. Looking at the swaying fox tail, Bai Lu, who was holding the death bell, wanted to touch it. She rarely saw the Holy Lord's fox demon transformation, but every time she heard Taoist Ning mention Sui Weiao's cute fox demon transformation, she couldn't help but think, "Sister Holy Lord usually doesn't transform, so when did Taoist Ning see it? Could it be Sister Holy Lord secretly showed it to Taoist Ning? Unfair." She didn't treat Bai Lu as a human. White Willow hugged the dead bell and drew circles, cursing fellow Taoist Ning. Ning Tian was dumbfounded. What was this girl thinking all day long? Was the brain structure of the soul body different from the human body? At this time, Luo Wuqing, who was wearing a blue and white dress, had already walked to the stone door. She raised her hand and demonic chi quietly flowed on the stone door. Soon, the stone door that was originally still suddenly rumbled. Seeing this scene, Ning Tian's eyes lit up and he fell into deep thought. First, there were 3 demonic chi stone doors, and then there was demonic chi. Then, could there be 3 demonic chi stone doors? Chapter 499. As expected, When Luo Wuqing used his spiritual energy to open the stone door, it was still another stone door. Is he messing with us? He's definitely messing with us. Old Su and the old emperor had strange expressions on their faces. Wife, please continue. On the other hand, Ning Tian calmed down and said to Luo Wuqing. He rubbed his chin and fell into deep thought. Since there were new stone doors, there must be 3 more. There were 3 demon gates and 3 spirit gates. The demon gates represented the demon race and the spirit gates represented the human race. If that was the case, there must be a demon gate behind the spirit gates. There should be 3 more representing the 3 most powerful races in the profound sky world. However, what did this mean? When Luo Wuqing used his spiritual energy, there were 3 spirit gates. At the end of the spirit gate there was indeed a demon gate. The stone door was black, and a discomforting demonic aura flowed out. Just as I expected, it's my turn. Ning Tian's lips curled into a confident smile. Although he did not have demonic aura, he had the Buddha demon pagoda. He only needed to borrow some demonic aura from the pagoda. What a strong demonic aura! Seeing the small black pagoda in their founder's hand, Di Wuji and the empty god emperor's faces turned serious. Even as demigods, they were extremely wary of the demonic aura. Even so, they did not say anything. They only looked at their founder silently. When the demonic aura flowed out of the pagoda, the demon gates opened. There were 3 more. 3 gates of the demon gate, 3 gates of the spirit gate, and 3 gates of the demon gate. Could it be 9921? The empty god emperor frowned as he looked at the opening of the last demon gate. Looks like you're not stupid. Luo Wuqing looked at him indifferently. Ah. Old Su laughed awkwardly and scratched his head. He clearly remembered this woman in front of him. Her strength was enough to crush him at that time. She was indeed the founder's wife. Husband, this should be the 9921 formation that the Void God Emperor mentioned. Luo Wuqing looked at Ning Tian. At this time, the benefits of reading more books were reflected. She slowly said, 9 return to 1, 3 layers of Demon Gate, 3 layers of Spirit Gate, and 3 layers of Devil Gate, all for the last layer. The last round, Ning Tian kept the Buddha Devil Pagoda as a bright light flashed in his eyes. Everyone stared at the opening of the last Devil Gate. The last round, how was he going to solve it? Boom! The Demon Gate opened. Behind the Demon Gate was a stone wall. On the stone wall, there were colossal dragon totems. Everyone looked at the stone wall and saw that it was indeed a formation totem. There was a groove in the center of the formation. If there were no surprises, the formation would open once the final amount of energy was injected into the groove. Dragon Burial Valley, could it be something related to the Dragon Clan? Ning Tian frowned and mumbled. If it was the Dragon Burial Valley, would the Dragon Force be able to activate the formation? With the thought of giving it a try, he circulated the Dragon Force and touched the formation. He placed his hand in front of the groove and infused the Dragon Force into it. Boom, boom, there is a reaction. Founder is awesome. The Void God Emperor exclaimed when he saw the reaction. Awesome my ass. This little bit of movement is far from enough. Ning Tian rolled his eyes at him. The Dragon Force could only activate the formation a little. If he wanted to activate the formation, he would need something more powerful. If it is Dragon Blood, Ning Tian had an idea. Dragon Blood was definitely purer than Dragon Force. However, he had already used up the Dragon Blood that he had cheated from the Eternal Dragon Emperor. Where could he find more Dragon Blood now? But, I have a piece of Immortal Dragon Scale here that can summon the Immortal Dragon Emperor. That old man must be in the heavenly spirit world as well, but I don't know if he's dead or not. Even if he's not dead, the Immortal Dragon Scale might not be able to do anything to him. Ning Tian murmured in his heart. The Eternal Dragon Scale was given to him by the Eternal Dragon Emperor, not the system. Therefore, it must be affected by the heavenly spirit world. It would be a waste if it lost its effect after using it. But I think I still have one more chance to strengthen an item. Just as he was hesitating, he remembered that he had obtained one chance to strengthen an item when he shocked Su Li system. Use item strengthening to strengthen the eternal dragon scale, Ning Tian said in his heart. Originally, he wanted to use the item strengthening to strengthen the eternal dragon scale. Forget it, business is more important. Strengthening in progress. Eternal dragon scale has been strengthened. You can use the eternal dragon scale in the heavenly spirit world. When the system finished speaking, Ning Tian immediately used it. Use! In an instant, the eternal dragon scale in his hand shone brightly, and a powerful suction force burst out, illuminating the entire stone door. Bai Lu, Daoist Ning has turned into light again. Boom. The light was dazzling. Several people subconsciously covered their eyes. CK. A mere cultivator of the desolate region dares to harm me? How dare you? Inside the stone door. Suddenly, a loud roar sounded. Then, a figure came out from the light and punched the Void God Emperor without hesitation. Who the CK attacked me? The Void God Emperor was sent flying and slammed into the stone wall. In front of him was a white-haired old man with a pair of dragon horns on his head. Taoist Void God from the Void God Heavenly Palace? The white-haired old man was still in a daze after punching the Eternal Dragon scale. It was the Eternal Dragon Emperor that was summoned here. Why am I here? CK. It wasn't easy for me to get ahead. The Eternal Dragon Emperor wanted to cry but had no tears. He had been wandering in the heavenly soul world for 5 days and finally met a cultivator. He had just crippled him and was about to finish him off when he somehow ended up here. You're asking me? Who am I supposed to ask? Old Su clutched his stomach and got up from the ground with a gloomy face. Why was he always the one getting hurt? I was the one who summoned you. At this time, Ning Tian's voice came from behind. Ancestor? Ancestor? The Eternal Dragon Emperor turned around. When he saw Ning Tian and the Flame Lion King, he subconsciously wanted to run away. But then he remembered that this was not the Dragon Clan's territory and he didn't need to worry about the Ancestor destroying his home. He sighed in relief. Ancestor, you summoned me with the Eternal Dragon Scale? Does the Eternal Dragon Scale work in the Heavenly Soul world? He was puzzled. Of course it works in my hands, Ning Tian said flatly as he looked at the Immortal Dragon Emperor. He then unsheathed the Scarlet Heaven Sword and said, All right, let's cut the crap. Come here and let me give you a taste of my sword. The Eternal Dragon Emperor. Don't worry, it won't take long. Ancestor, slow down. Why can't I do it? Author's words. Sorry, I'm not in the right state of mind. I'm not good at writing this kind of plot, but I have to. The things in the Dragon Burial Valley will be very useful to Ning Tian in the later stage. Sorry, I've been writing all night and I'm stuck. I'll try not to write this kind of plot again in the future. Chapter 500. Following a series of screams, a ball of dark red dragon blood essence appeared in Ning Tian's hand. Phew! I got the Dragon Clan blood essence. Ning Tian let out a long sigh of relief. He then looked at the Immortal Dragon Emperor, who seemed to be in a weakened state, and said snappily, All I did was cut your finger and take out 100 million drops of blood essence. Do you have to be so weak? Ancestral Master, you don't understand. As the saying goes, the 10 fingers are linked to the heart. Cutting my index finger is equivalent to cutting my heart. You have hurt my heart, the Immortal Dragon Emperor explained with a serious expression. Hurt your heart? Immortal Dragon Emperor, something is wrong with you. Luo Wuqing and Su Yueyao. Scram. Ning Tian's face darkened. He glared at the immortal Dragon Emperor and then put the Dragon Emperor blood essence into the groove. With the Dragon Emperor blood essence, the array on the stone wall changed. The entire array was lit up. Then, the stone wall gradually separated. A huge stone cave appeared in front of everyone's eyes. It was filled with white bones that looked like crystals. Each of the white bones emitted a red luster. This is? Everyone looked at the cave with puzzlement in their eyes. Holy shit! This, unlike everyone else, the immortal Dragon Emperor was astonished. His murky eyes were filled with astonishment as he stared at the white bone crystals that were glowing with red light. This is dragon blood crystals. Dragon blood crystals? Ning Tian and the others frowned when they heard the immortal Dragon Emperor's words. They had never heard of such a thing. Even Luo Wuqing and Su Yueyao, who were well-read, were confused. The ancient books were not omnipotent. Not everything was recorded. Yes, dragon blood crystals are a kind of ore that contains strong energy. Furthermore, this kind of ore is extremely difficult to form. It requires the blood essence of the ancestral dragon and the blood and bones of the ancestral dragon. A hint of awe flashed across the immortal Dragon Emperor's eyes. He then glanced at the flame-sealing Lion King and said, "Even if the old ancestor was buried here for 100,000 years, there might only be a small amount of dragon blood crystals left." The Lion King roared, "Roar? What does this have to do with Master Lion? Master Lion knows his place, don't drag me into this." After all, Sha Tian was still an ancestral dragon to the immortal Dragon Emperor. In other words, an ancestral dragon-level dragon is buried here. Ning Tian frowned slightly. Ancestral dragon level. At the very least, they were deities of the human race, ancestral gods, or heavenly gods. But if these were ores that contained powerful energy, would they need to use the triple formation of demons, humans, and demons to seal this place? Host, the system has detected a strange energy that is fated with the host. It is recommended that the host recycle it. Just as Ning Tian was deep in thought, the system's voice suddenly sounded in his mind. Strange energy? It is fated with me? Ning Tian raised his eyebrows. The system understood him. Where is it? Soon, under the system's guidance, Ning Tian looked into the cave. According to the system, the strange energy was buried under the layers of dragon blood crystals. He walked over. He squatted down and knocked on the crystals with his hand. They were a little hard. Ancestral Master, this is made of ancestral dragon bones and ancestral dragon blood essence. It is very hard, the immortal Dragon Emperor said. Is that so? Ning Tian smiled faintly, then got up and looked at the well-behaved Flame Lion King beside him. He smiled and said, Sha Tian, it's time for you to perform. Come, aim here and open it. Roar? The Flame Lion King widened its eyes in disbelief. The light in its eyes that had been lost suddenly lit up again. Of course it is. Ning Tian nodded with a smile. Now was the time to make full use of the tool lion. Roar! Roar! The Flame Lion King roared excitedly. A lion that could demolish its home was a real lion's life. A lion that could not demolish its home was a fake lion's life. Soon, a golden word appeared in front of everyone. Ancestral Master. Those are dragon blood crystals. They are very expensive. The immortal Dragon Emperor gulped as he looked at Ning Tian. He looked at Ning Tian and said, You're right? Oh, and then? That's it. Ning Tian said indifferently. He did not care about the dragon blood crystals at all. So what if they were expensive? Anyway, he had been squandering for a long time. Moreover, if he did not clear the dragon blood crystals, how could he obtain the strange energy buried at the bottom of the cave? Hearing this, the immortal Dragon Emperor's mouth twitched and fell silent. As expected of the ancestral master. He did not even care about the dragon blood crystals. Diwuji looked at the golden word and also fell silent. This thing. Where did he see it before? Boom. Boom. As soon as the word appeared, the dragon blood crystals that the immortal dragon emperor said were very sturdy broke into pieces. The immortal dragon emperor felt a heartache and he admired Sha Tian even more. As expected of the ancestral master, he could even destroy the dragon blood crystals easily. Unfortunately, what he did not know was that the word demolish would cause real damage to the building and 0 damage to the enemy. Soon, the cave was in a mess. Of course, not all the dragon blood crystals were destroyed by the word demolish. Only those in the middle were destroyed and a bottomless hole appeared. There is a different world in this cave. Old Su was surprised. As expected, Ning Tian's eyes flashed. He looked at the bottomless hole and then said to Luo Wuqing and Su Yueyao, "Wife, little wife, come with me." "Okay." Luo Wuqing and Su Yueyao nodded slightly without hesitation. Even if Ning Tian did not say it, they would not let Ning Tian go down alone. "What about me?" Ovo Bai Lu held the death bell and looked at Ning Tian. You draw a circle and wait for us," Ning Tian said, and then jumped into the bottomless hole with Luo Wuqing and Su Yueyao. He did not let Bai Lu follow. First, they did not know what was below. Bai Lu was a soul after all. It was too risky to go down rashly. Second, let her look after old Su and the other 2 guys from above. Although they were not enemies, they could not be trusted completely. They had to keep something from her. Oh, Bai Lu held the death bell and said. Old Su and the other 2 were very tactful and did not follow them. The bottomless hole was not bottomless. The 3 soon landed. The bottom was not big. Soon, a dazzling red light attracted their attention. "This is?" Looking at the red light, the 2 girls frowned. The red light was the size of a fist and seemed to be beating. Ning Tian looked over with a strange expression. She frowned and said, "This is a heart? There must be some problems with the quality of these 3 chapters. It's a bit of a hydrology. Sorry, the story of this stone door is going to end soon. This is also an important prop in the later stage. I have to write it. It's really bad. I'm not happy writing it." Chapter 501. In the darkness, the fist-sized object flickered with a red light, resembling a beating heart. "Is this a heart?" Luo Wuqing frowned as she stared at the pulsating red light. She asked doubtfully. Clearly, she also thought that it was a heart. After all, it was pulsating with a red light. If it wasn't a heart, then something was wrong. Could it be? Is this the ancestral dragon's heart? Su Yueyao rubbed her chin and fell into deep thought. As she pondered, her furry fox ears swayed, making her look adorable. After all, this is the Dragon Burial Valley and it's covered with dragon blood crystals. I can't be wrong. Ancestral dragon's heart. Hearing this, Ning Tian fell silent. Looking at the pulsating red heart, he fell into deep thought. Could this be the ancestral dragon's heart as his little wife had deduced? The Dragon Burial Valley, the ancestral dragon's essence blood, and the dragon blood crystals all proved that this heart was related to the ancestral dragon's heart. But Ning Tian still remembered one thing. There were 9 stone doors, 3 for each demon, spirit, and demon. They represented the 3 strongest races in the profound sky world. If it was just the ancestral dragon's heart, why would there be 3 doors? Ning Tian did not believe that the 2 had nothing to do with each other. Thump, thump, thump. In front of him, the crimson heart was still beating vigorously. The surroundings were silent. Other than the rhythmic breathing of the 2 women, he could also hear the beating of the crimson object in front of him. If I listen to this sound, it is indeed a heart, Ning Tian muttered to herself. She frowned and silently analyzed the situation. Wait. Sound. As he mumbled, Ning Tian's eyes suddenly lit up as if he had thought of something. He took a deep breath, then channeled the Tao of entertainment and listened with his eyes closed. This was the sound of a beating heart. Although the 2 women were a little confused, They only watched quietly and did not disturb him. Inside the dark cave, the three of them were silent. Ning Tian channeled the Tao of entertainment and closed his eyes to feel the pulsating sound. After a while, I see. Ning Tian slowly opened his eyes as a confident smile appeared on his face. Looking at the pulsating red light in front of him, he immediately understood many things. He knew that this was definitely not as simple as the ancestral dragon's heart. Hubby, what did you find? Seeing this scene, Luo Wuqing and Sui Weiyao suddenly became curious. They looked at Ning Tian and asked. It's simple. Ning Tian smiled, then looked at Sui Weiyao and said, Little wife, try channeling the Tao of music, then ignore all the noise around you and focus on listening to the beating sound. Is that so? Hearing this, Sui Weiyao nodded thoughtfully. Next. Following Ning Tian's instructions, Sui Weiyao closed her eyes and channeled the Tao of entertainment. After a while, her beautiful eyes slowly opened. A trace of shock flashed through her eyes. She couldn't help but look at Ning Tian. Husband, this dragon heart, there's another heart. Sui Weiyao's eyes widened in surprise. The dragon heart, there's actually another heart. How did you sense it? On the side, Luo Wuqing frowned slightly. Although she was blessed by the heavens, but she really didn't know anything about the Tao of entertainment. So when she heard the two, she was a bit puzzled. It's very simple. Wife, you're not proficient in the Tao of entertainment, so I'll use the simplest method to explain it to you. Ning Tian chuckled, then turned around and looked at Luo Wuqing in the dark. As soon as he finished speaking, he raised his hand and placed it on her chest. What are you doing? Seeing this guy's action, Luo Wuqing was stunned for a moment, then her pretty face sank. Wife, don't think too much. I'm just explaining it to you. I'm giving you an example, you understand? Ning Tian said with a smile. He didn't have the slightest intention of pulling his hand away. After all, he really was giving an example. An example? Don't you have a heart? Luo Wuqing rolled her eyes at him. Ning Tian, no. A few question marks appeared in Luo Wuqing's head. She suddenly realized that her husband's shamelessness seemed to be beyond her control. Forget it, do whatever you want. Ning Tian smirked, but just as he said, he really didn't do anything else. His hands were obedient. He said seriously, Honey, close your eyes and listen to your heartbeat carefully. It should be easier for you to hear it with my hands on it. Luo Wuqing nodded and gently closed her beautiful eyes. When she closed her eyes, it was as if the surroundings had quieted down. Thump, 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 a soft and slow heartbeat sounded, with a trace of rhythm. Wife, how is it? At this time, Ning Tian's voice sounded. This guy's hand was still not honest. Sure enough, a man's mouth was a liar. Luo Wuqing's originally soft and slow heartbeat was suddenly disrupted and became faster. She opened her eyes and glared at this guy. She moved his hand away and asked unhappily, So? What are you trying to say? Ning Tian smiled. He had taken advantage of her and taught her a lesson. This time, he didn't lose anything. In the profound sky world, no matter what living thing it is, the heartbeat frequency should be like thump, thump, thump. He looked at the beating red light in front of him, and his expression gradually turned serious. But this is different. Its frequency is thump, thump, thump. After a big beat, there is a small beat. If it weren't for the fact that both Yueyao and I have already reached the saint level in the Tao of music and are extremely sensitive to sound, I'm afraid that we would have overlooked this small detail. This small beat is the most important, and it's also something that can't be ignored. Ning Tian's lips curled into a confident smile. Fortunately, he had good control of the entertainment Tao, or he would have missed it. Hearing this, Luo Wuqing frowned and fell into deep thought. This thing should be the ancestral dragon's dragon heart. TSK, but I don't know what is inside. Something nourished by the ancestral dragon's dragon heart must be extraordinary. It seems that this thing is a great opportunity for me. Ning Tian smiled. Then, he drew out the red heaven sword. Honey, step back a little. Let me cut out this dragon heart. If the old immortal dragon emperor heard this, he would definitely roll his eyes in heartache. He might even pass out while foaming at the mouth. After all, this was the ancestral dragon's dragon heart. The ancestral master said to cut it out. But there was no other way. If he didn't cut out the dragon heart, he couldn't take out the thing inside. No need. We will stand beside you and protect you. However, Luo Wuqing and Sui Weiyao both shook their heads. They were worried about Ning Tian's safety. Okay. Then, let's begin. Ning Tian smiled warmly and drew out the red heaven sword. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.